Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to part 2 of the main event on LSRTV's iSuperSpeedway Friday Night Championship doubleheader for the virtual Daytona International Speedway. This is the Supreme 3. 10 drivers started 4 weeks ago with a shot at the Season 4 iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series title. Now the top 3 that accumulated the most points last month, and all of the chase wins that we have seen so far are here to settle the score. This is the finale in Florida 400K and the Supreme 3 round of the iSuper Chase. We're glad to have you with us tonight on LSRTV up in the broadcast tower, calling all the action as always alongside of myself, Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford, our driver analyst Jared Haggerty, and our executive producer Laura Lawson. Guys, it's time. The chase done. You got 2 rounds of eliminations already in the books, and this is all that's left. 3 drivers, no bonus points. You just got to finish ahead of the 2 guys you're racing against, and you're going to be the Season 4 champion. It sounds a lot easier than it's going to be. This is one of our endurance events on the Season 4 championship. 100 laps, 250 miles, just a smidge over 400 kilometers in this finale in Florida 400. And Rachel, we'll turn to you first. We just saw the IROC race back in the Gen 6 cars, back where we're familiar. Big field tonight, 100 laps, and so much on the line.
Yes, absolutely, Evan. So much on the line for these guys tonight, and, well, it's going to be an amazing finale in this one. We've got it down to the final 3. This is the Supreme 3 round. It is to Merchant, Wofford, and Ball. We saw we're at Wofford in that IROC race, and, well, 32 to the 7 and the 48 will go to war tonight. And, well, one driver has won in all 3 rounds so far in the chase. That is Seth de Merchant. That number 32 car is strong. Can he be strong tonight?
The 20-minute practice session goes into the books. 5-minute solo car qualified, which could be a big part, Jared Haggerty, of where you start in this one and how that dictates the pace of your race tonight. These endurance events very different than the feature races that we have seen for the majority of the season. This race, instead of qualifying through a heat, it's everybody's here. You get to qualify in, and that's it. You go on the grid, you race for 400 kilometers tonight in the finale in Florida 400. Sounds simple enough. What are some of the big changes that these drivers are going to have to make in order to be successful in these endurance events, as opposed to the strategy maybe that they went into last week's race with, which was a feature?
Well, this week you're really going to have to basically save your car. In the previous weeks where we've done the B main and the A main, you're pretty much looking at a short track style on a super speedway. You get these short little heats that we run, and it makes for some really exciting racing, but you need to be able to save your car, bide your time, and just move where the air is and just work your way up through the field. I mean, this is not a 50 lap race. I mean, like a 40 lap race. You're running quite a few laps here. I don't have the official thing in front of me, but I know it's going to be very tough for some drivers. And you got that one quick fix, and you use it up early, you're pretty much spoiling your chances right there.
Qualifying currently underway. Before we talk about that, let's talk about the month of July as far as what that has done for this series. The total accumulated points as far as the monthly championship, which for those that may be unfamiliar, within the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series, each month whoever accumulates the most points within the races in that month as well get a monthly championship. Now, this is the new chase. Again, last season's chase was 5 races, that's it, straight up. But even with the elimination rounds, Seth the Merchant takes home the July monthly championship points title as well. Behind him, though, Rodney Wofford and Josh Ball. Now, it sounds like it makes sense because those are the 3 guys that are here in the Supreme 3. But when you think about through 2 cuts of eliminations, it really is the top of the top here that have made it to this final round. We talked about our last week's results from the feature race 17 for the Superior 6 round, race 2 of 2 and race 4 on the iSuper Chase. Josh Ball won that one, Rachel, by 1 point. He ended up being over the cut line regardless, but that means that if he didn't get first, he would have not been able to have enough points. He would not have transferred in. So although he gets the bye with the win, it was that close. The 48 did so much to get here tonight. He could be one of the drivers everybody's keeping an eye on. If you're going to put money on the 48 team, we talk about these endurance events. Teamwork and strategy is such a big part of these endurance events, a little bit more so in comparison to when we see these shorter heat races. He's part of Hendrick Motorsports. That's one of the biggest teams in this series, and look for them to try to help him out.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be a whole different race tonight. We've seen Seth the Merchant so impressive, so strong. He's got that momentum. He's had a win in every round so far, and he's the only driver to do so. It's going to be really... Oh, no, actually, I apologize. Well, no, he has been, actually. But it's so hard not to keep that momentum going. But again, this is an endurance race. We're looking at 100 laps here, which is over twice the length of a normal race. So many things could happen. Many things could go wrong. And, well, this is going to pretty much be a case of have to win to actually take it. And it's going to have to be a strong performance by any driver.
Yeah, Rachel mentioned a good point there, is that 32 of Seth the Merchant. We can look at this one of two ways. We can say that he's undefeated in elimination races so far in this chase, which could be a good thing. Or we can say that he hasn't had to face elimination yet, and that pressure may be too much. Seth won the opening race of round 1. He won the opening race of round 2, so he has not had to go into the last race of a round, and with the Supreme 3 being just tonight, he hasn't had to go in knowing that at the end of the night, he may not be moving on. Tonight, he may not be the champion. He has not been in that situation, but as well, you look on the flip side, every time he started, he's won, so the 32's got to be looking pretty good depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, the 32 is going to be definitely looking strong today. But these guys like Rodney Walford, he is actually qualified on the pole right now, and he's increased his chances a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can move your way through the field here pretty easily, but starting on the pole, especially for this final race, that is a big thing. You got Rodney Walford right now in first. Seth the Merchant it's actually Josh Ball, your next closest. He's going to be starting 8th, and Seth the Merchant is going to be right behind Ball in 10th. So I mean, these guys, I mean, they're starting up front, but it's all good. Again, it's going to come down to what they can do and if they can last till the end here.
Well, the qualifying session just now coming to a close. And let's get this one underway. The final race on this Season 4 championship with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series is about to get underway. The Supreme 3 set to do battle. Let's give you the LSRTV starting grid as we go down through the field of 30. That will take us to the green flag tonight through 100 laps to the checker. We'll go down at them 10 at a time. Pole position, as you mentioned, going to go to the 7, Rodney Walford with a 47.881. Puts the 7 car on pole position. Alongside him, the radiated Mark Jorgensen Jr. will start from 2nd. Dana Osborne will roll that Chevrolet off from 3rd. Paul Servant going to start in 4th. Brandon Chiburko, the number 3 Exxon Chevrolet, will roll from 5th position alongside Frank Busilia the 3rd. Eliminated just 1 week ago in this title, is starting in 6th. Take a look at row number 4, 7th spot to the 21 already written now, but the 2nd alongside him is Josh Ball in the red Lowe Chevrolet, one of the 2nd highest drivers in the chase, starting this one out. Behind him, Jason Altman's in 9th, and the 3rd and final title contender rounds out your top 10, Rachel. That's the 32 of Seth the Merchant.
It is indeed, and starting in P11 on the inside of that 98 Aaron's Chevrolet, Greg Hooks. On his outside, the Penzel Chevrolet of Chris Bassini. Kyle Gary, P13. Donnie Giranto is P14 in his Wrangler machine. Chad Keane, P15, and Josh Hanna of Hendrick Motorsports. These guys are in a big team fight tonight as well to help their driver take his championship. He rolls off P16 in his Axalta Chevrolet. Jordan Turner, P17, Larry Camp, P number 18, Dan Harrington, P number 19, and Ron Thompson running at your top 20 in his 22 machine.
The 92 machine of Rod Minton is going to be starting 21st. The 83 of Ramon Evans is going to be starting 22nd. The number 6 of Carson John Tomaso, he's going to kill me for butchering his name. He starts 23rd. The 73 of Mark Brown rolls off 24th. In the 18 M&M Chevy, you got Jimmy Todd starting P25. 29 of Tommy Hall rolls off P26. Shane McKeechin, number 28. Haviland Machine will start 27th. Your defending champion, unfortunately not going to be a repeat champion, Rod Flagg, is going to be starting 28th. And rounding out your field tonight is going to be the number 99 of Dan Ferguson.
And it looks like old 29 driver is going to be able to make it to the grid and get this one rocking and rolling. The lights already off on the pace car in front of a sold-out crowd at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. A long way to go, but this one is going to be fun. It's Wofford in first, Josh Ball in 8th, and Seth the Merchant in 10th. Sure, there's still hardware on the line to get every race winner in the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series gets a trophy for their efforts. There's still the I-5 bonus, which, to make it a little bit exciting, all of our chase guys are in the I-5 eligible. They include Rodney Wofford, Seth the Merchant, and Josh Ball, as well as Dana Osborne and Frank Lucilia. If any of those 5 drivers go to victory lane, $30 bonus would not be too bad for those 3 chase guys if you could add some cash on with the trophy from tonight and the big piece of hardware that they have fought for so hard. 17 races down, 1 to go, and 250 miles. The finale in Florida, 400, gets set to go underway. The pace car is down and away. Green flag flies, and we race under the lights in Daytona Beach. Rodney Wofford, for the first time down to corner number 1, brings this field up to song.
Yeah, great start up at the front for Rodney Wofford and co. They have a good run on the outside already. Those cars lining up behind the 88 with Mark Johnson Jr. Disappointed in the IROC race earlier, of course, but behind him the 85, the 94, 48 title contender, and Seth Merchant on the outside line. Those guys will want to go to the front.
Deadlocked in a almost what appears to be a 2-set tandem battle down the Daytona super stretch. Advantage on the outside to the 8 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Barely clear, but I'll tell you, he got real close to the front of Rodney Wofford, drops down in front of him, and he'll be able to take over the top spot in this one. Now the 8 going to jump out from 3rd in line to 7. Wants to go with him. Now the 88 going to come up and block guys. Just 1 lap into this race, already going at it at the front of the field.
Yeah, we actually had a split up there. The packs kind of split up because a little further back they were 3 wide, and it's a big checking up. I think it was Larry Camp might have gotten into the wall, but that's actually separated this pack here as they start to single file out, but they're going for the lead here. Rodney Wofford's got a big charge up the outside with a big push from, I guess not his teammate, but his person he's been working with a lot lately, number 8 of Dana Osborne. But Jorgensen says, nuh-uh, it's going to power back here on the inside coming out of 4.
We saw that 1 week ago at Talladega, Rachel. The 8 working with the 7, one of the Wicked Auto Sports machines. Again, we talked about how the 7 and the 32, 2 of our 3 chase drivers right now, are teammates with Rodney Wofford and Seth the Merchant. The 8, not necessarily a team car, but they've been working together for a lot of this chase, and it's surprising to see those 2 drivers start up front, not going together, but happen to be nose to tail. That helps them out a lot, but not only that, but working together as they both jumped out to the outside of the racetrack early, trying to get something going. The outside has 4, the inside has everybody else, so for the most part, the inside should have the advantage here as the outside tries to hang on inside with a 2-car length advantage at 3 and 4.
Well, the main thing here is, of course, the inside. They aren't really working together as much. There's a couple of cars pushing towards the front, but realistically, they're just riding, so that's really not giving a huge advantage over the 4 hooked-up cars on the outside. But well, the 8 and the 7, they have been working together a lot, and you do build friendships on these super speedways. You build up appreciation for drivers who run well with you and can hook up well with your car and fit together, and you learn to trust some people. So the 8 is clearly working with the 7. Those guys are happy working with each other, so this could be a partnership of necessity rather than a teaming.
And if things stay green, having a group of partners, talking about the Hendrick Motorsports guys going to be helping out the 48 of Josh Ball. Even if you don't have teammates around you, somebody that's going to agree to work with you, you got to come down. You need a dancing partner at a pit road. More cars is better than 1 car as far as when you're out there by yourself. That could also be a big factor tonight. The outside slide back. Let's take a look on board. And when we say on board, you're not just looking at the camera on the windscreen there. Take a look at the 51 and looking at the sim. You're seeing what Jason Holtman sees in the 51 Best Buy Ford Fusion. So close to making the cut line just 1 week ago. Was 2 points
Sorry, 94
short
to
when
lead.
It was all said and done.
94 is actually going to the lead. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Evan, but he got a big run there with Brandon Chaburko. They snuck out to the outside there, and Frank Brasilia was actually able to take the lead out. And now Brandon Chaburko, Chubb hard, after being suspended from iRacing for 2 months, is back, and he's going to be working with Jorgensen now. So he's going to go through the tri-oval, completing lap number 6. 5.
Yeah, I'll ask you this, Jared. The 3-car of Brandon Chaburko on the outside, I don't think we're that surprised that whoever he's pushing is getting a hell of a push.
No, not at all. Tubbs is probably one of the best pushers in the sim today. I mean, he is, I think, our only pro driver here. As you can see, he's going to give a good push to Mark Jorgensen Jr. here, and he's going down the backstretch. I don't think he's going to have enough to get clear of Frank, but he's definitely a one to watch in this race. Despite not going for a championship, he's still a person to watch in this race.
Frank Busilia was the only defending champion as far as somebody that has won an iSuperSpeedway.com champion that was eligible for this chase, qualified in, unfortunately eliminated just 1 week ago after a P5 was not enough at our 94 team, trying to get some description of a redemption here tonight by leading the pack. But what this does guarantee, Rachel, is that the 3 drivers that we see going to be duking it out as this night continues, none of them have an iSuperSpeedway champion, which means always exciting not only to see some first-time winners, but a first-time champion. That is guaranteed tonight.
It is indeed, and well, anything could happen in this one as we have Jorgensen Jr. and Frank Busilia, the third out front. This could shake things up hugely. Of course, long race, so these drivers have all been very patient. It could really change things. These guys are used to much shorter races, so we're going to find out.
And with these endurance events, there's a significantly lower number of them this season, than those feature races that you talked about. Things we'd already see with the heat races and then the B-main and the game. And contact now with the front of the field. Close call, 88-21. Looks like they hang on there, and crises averted and all of that. But going into the next season, there's going to be a lot more of these endurance events, so these drivers could use tonight as a little bit of a test session. Got to get used to that. It's going to be a lot more of a major factor in the Season 5 title, which the hunt for that begins in just 1 week. How about the outside, though? Just 4 cars strong. Make it work. Look at the side draft. The 88 on the door of Frank Busilia. They're door scraping across the start-finish line.
Yeah, they are indeed. Real door banging going on here, of course. These guys desperate to get that lead. Frank Busilia, of course, got there from the outside. He wants to stay there. A lot of side drafting going on. These guys have to try and keep it as close as possible to have any real effect. So it could be a major issue with this car's moved around a little bit and netcode being a factor. So with how the model is running at the moment, the draft model, side drafting is vital. And, well, internet connections to Super Speedway is never the best bet for this.
The side draft, very important, Jared. It's not going to be a big concern, you would think, here early, unless you talk to the 88 machine. They're really pushing it, but as these laps wind down, that outside lane is going to start to get lower and lower on the racetrack, and that's when things get real fun.
Yeah, everybody's going to be start pinching a lot later, especially like right now they're okay as far as pinching goes, but they're giving each other enough room to where they can move around. But I'll tell you, I think this back there was interesting. You got the 3 wicked Auto Sports cars lined up: Seth the Merchant, Rodney Walford, and Donnie Garitano. Now, if I'm Donnie Garitano, I'm pretty much torn here because I don't know who to push at this point. I mean, do you push Rodney or do you push Seth to the championship?
Well, I was about to say, you see that 8 machine there. That's the, not the necessarily the team car, but the affiliate machine. So there were 4 of them stacked up. The 8 car going to go to the outside, jump up in front of the 80. Mark Jorgensen Jr. sit down. Jada Osborne leads it outside. But we talked to both Seth and Robbie after Talladega for feature race 17 1 week ago, and they both said that they are going to work together until it's time to go. If that's at 20 to go, 15, 10, 5, even the last lap, we don't know. We'll have to wait until we get to that point, if they're even still together, but they're doing exactly what they said they would, and that is work together as a team early. Let's look at Auto Sports machines ride together on the bottom. The cars of the 8 numbers working real good up top. The 88 Osborne being pushed by the 88 on the outside lane. Mark Jorgensen Jr. giving Frank Busilia a run for the money. That's a drag race to the stripe that time by as lap 11 goes in the works, and a slight advantage on the outside of the racetrack to the 8 machine. We've been talking about the Wicked Auto Sport guys. Where's that 48 of Josh Ball? Right in the middle of them. The last time by Seth the Merchant 7th, Josh Ball 8th. Rodney Wofford in 9th. Very similar situation, Rachel, to what we saw 1 week ago at Talladega, with all 5 of the drivers, with the exclusion of Seth the Merchant, who were fighting for their lives at one point, were running all single file at the front of the field. I think 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then 5th, and maybe 7th at one time on the racetrack. Right now we're seeing the same thing with the top 3 championship guys.
Yeah, they are indeed, and of course, these guys are still running this one like a 40-lap feature. It's going to be interesting once we get past that distance, we start to really think about fueling here. So this is going to be the big factor, fuel. We've never really had a situation where these guys have had to work with each other on pit road. We're going to see how they come down the road, hopefully, and that's going to be a major factor in how this one shakes out. This field, if it stays green, 100 laps, as Diana Osborne goes to the front of this field here, this will shake out and spread out pretty wide. So once we get to green flag stops, the chance of caution really drops, patches get smaller, and well, the chance of moving forwards, if you're one of these chase hopefuls, will become lower.
It's the exact situation that we saw in the Draft Target 300 at Talladega, the final race before the chase endurance event. Green flag pit stop spread everybody out, so a couple of drivers that needed a win to get moving on was too far back, 7 seconds off, just because of the lack of execution, maybe on the pit stops. It could very well be the crucial, if not the deciding factor in this one. All 29 guys still on the lead lap. The only driver off of our leaders is Larry Camp. The 33 got damaged earlier on in this race after getting into the outside wall. Jared, I know you touched on that. He is way back, and at this rate, not only because the car's damaged, but because he's by himself, he'll lose his lead lap here pretty quickly. Good news for him is there's nobody else to lap down, so he should hang on to the lucky dog spot, but nonetheless, you never want to start from behind early.
No, you really don't, and I really feel bad for Larry because he got, he's been having neck code issues all night. He's been blinking in and out, and we saw that last week too. So unfortunately, he's actually going to lose a lap here pretty soon. If my math is right, he's probably about 5 seconds right now from the leader, so he should be lapped here within the next 5 laps. But that's something you can't do with this track. You cannot lose the draft. If you lose that draft, you pretty much douse your hopes. Unless another car is right behind you or just a little further back, you have no chance of catching this big pack.
A lot of good side-by-side action continues. Dana Osborne got to the front of the field about 2 laps ago. He now sits in front of the Bernati 4 of Frank Lucilia. 3rd place is where the side-by-side starts. Now, how about that Bernati 4 to the outside? The McDonald's drive-through Ford Fusion. Lucilia fighting back, and the 88 has no objections to helping him. Drag race down through quarter 2, and again, Jorgensen not giving any sort of friendly space to the guys on the bottom.
No, this makes things really tough when drivers are really pushing as hard as they are. And, well, even though Jorgensen isn't in this chase, he still wants to take the win in this race from tonight. So he's got as much in this as anybody else. He has something to prove, especially after his championship loss in IROC, as we have a car heading to pit road already.
As the field cycles through the trial, the car to the pit lane is that limping 33, I believe, of Larry Camp, Jared.
Yeah, Larry Camp, I think he just wanted to get out of the way and go ahead and get his pit stop done. Because
actually, guys, sorry, just to interrupt you, he actually has rear end damage on that machine of Larry Camp, and he's just missed his pit box, which makes it even worse. But that car was off the back of the pack already. He'd had a bit of a tap, I believe, in one of the corners.
Yeah, but here's the thing I just noticed, Laura, is that if we keep going green, if this were to stay green, this is a 2-stop race, no matter what. You can only get about 42 laps here on a full tank of fuel. So either way, this is going to be, if they remain green, this is going to be a 2-stop race. So you never know. It might be smart on Larry to come in right now and wait for these guys to cycle through.
And the one thing that he's going to do by coming down pit road as he gets back onto the racetrack and still working with those connection issues is he does get that damage fixed on that race car. Does not look like that he took his quick fix, which means that he's keeping that in the back pocket for later, but they did some old school manual repairs to that car, got the left rear fixed just a little bit, and he'll get that back out there on the racetrack. But because he's all by himself, although he did get that first pit stop out of the way and maybe in a fuel window to make one more stop, if you're not with the lead group, which right now sits 20 cars strong, that's not very good news for you. Let's talk about that lead group, because Rachel, we saw at the start of this race, everybody spread out. Around P10, there was a big differential gap between a big group, I guess, and then you got that secondary pack after we actually saw that 33 get in the fence early. Right now, you do have the top 20 guys in this lead pack, the top 18 within a second, and you also have Mark Brown and Ramon Evans just kind of hanging back a half a second away from them, maybe again and get on the brakes maybe if something happens. Not quite in the frenzy, but still there. Then you have that secondary pack, 21st on pack, led by Ron Thompson, likes of Shane McEachin, Tommy Hall, Kyle Geary, Hanner, Flagg, Todd Ferguson, and company. They are way back to the point where if there's a caution and something happens in that lead group, they have tons of time to get around it. They have tons of time to slow down. They're playing it safe because they all run single file. Problem for them is if this goes green for a long distance, especially all the way if you see something like this happen late in the race, it's very difficult to make up 5 seconds on a group that has twice or 3 times as many cars as you.
Yeah, it certainly can be a major thing for this one, and I think the biggest thing we'll see in this is if we get to lap 40, 42, 43-ish, is the green flag pit stops and how these guys transition out the pack to pit road. That will be a massive issue. Did they come down together? Does the outside lane try to go down as well? Do people try and find a slot on the bottom so they can go to pit road? It could well be a Xfinity race Talladega grew up that bring out that caution by bringing out green flag pit stops.
To the outside lane on the 51 car, Jason Altman puts the My Best Buy Ford Fusion to the top spot on the outside and second at the start-finish line. Not quite able to get a nose on the 8 at Dana Osborne after he's been working with that 94 Busilia, who maybe just a little bit hot down the back straightaway, jumps that line, gets some air to the nose of that car, jumps back down in line, but the outside again, not with the support that they would need really. Starting to slow down just a little bit. You'll see the 88 join them back up, the 48 back there as well. Josh Ball working with teammate Mark Jorgensen Jr. Jared, we saw the 88, one of the drivers that was chase eligible, missed the first race though of the opening Super 10 round, which left them only with a win and you're in, only option for going into Talladega for the second race of the championship. Not able to do it, so he falls out of the title contention, but for the 48 car to be able to have a teammate like the 88, also the 24, he's not really driving around right now, but to have 2 guys on your race team that are guys that were in this chase competing against you, you know that their caliber of driver is going to definitely help you out when it comes to the strategy, knowing that they're capable.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help you out. I mean, having teammates in this league is essential. You've got to be able to have a teammate, or at least have some sort of team to even get up front here. Hold on here. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought because I just saw the 32 jump out line and get a big push with the 51. He's actually going to go for a lead. But as I was going back to the team factor, you're going to have people that work with you. And right now, we know the 51 is a lone team, but he's actually being able to make friends in the source of Henrik, Wicked. And right now, he's going to be giving the Wicked guys a big push here as he's going to probably push Seth to the lead here coming into 3.
The 32 into the outside of the racetrack. He left that 7 down low where they were running together. Huge run. Not enough, though. When they get to quarters 3 and 4, the outside can build so much speed, Rachel. We'll see that coming off of 2, coming off of 4, because they're coming down to 33 degrees of bank and getting a huge run. Issue is, though, when you go into the corner, where are you going to be on a Q lap? On the bottom. You want to dive it in on the outside. You're almost going up a hill, so you can see even though that 32 has the 51 all over the back of him, the 8 just naturally gains some of that time back in. Right here off of the corner is really where they need to take advantage of it. Again, they can't push in the corner. So if you're that 32, you need the 51 there. And they executed it perfectly at a 2 where you can't push them in the corner. But as soon as you're coming off the banking, give them a tap. And the 32 is going to give credit to the 51 for helping them out. New race leader, it's Seth the Merchant.
Well, they had to do that. Well, Seth the Merchant had to do that, I should say. But perhaps instead in the race, he didn't. Of course, the 51 there, look how far he fell back as soon as Seth Merchant pulled away. Those two had worked so hard together, and, well, he's kind of just dropped that 51 there of Jason Altman's, and a particularly nice thing to do to him this soon on. I think it would have been nice to clear him and get a buffer to Dana Osborne, but it's interesting for playing out later.
New fast lap goes on the board there that time by as the speeds only increase 205 miles an hour. Down to corner number 3 for the car that rides in second, Dana Osborne. DeMerchant leads in front of Rodney Wofford, his championship competitor and teammate, who sits in 5th and 48 car further back.
Sorry guys, I just saw we got cars coming into the pit lane. It looks like going to be the Big City Motorsports cars. Is Greg Hook and Chris Massini are going to be coming down for service here. We're going to get a full tank of fuel here. I'm not sure, and Chad Keen's also coming in. I'm probably going to get 4 tires here, but right now, good thing for the Big City guys, and that's a big thing. You come in with your teammates, and that's going to be what gets you to the front. And Greg Hooks is actually, I think he got caught for speeding because he's not going out with the rest of these guys.
And it's a good thing that they have 3 cars, because otherwise, if you only have 2, one guy has an issue, it kills both of them. But fair play to see that strategy call here, Rachel. Early again, it's a 2-stop race essentially on the strategy. All that means is you have to be able to make that final pit stop within the final 40 laps. So once you hit lap 20, it's an open range really. So these guys coming down, why not try something after they were riding about mid-pack here, try to mix it up, and with your teammates, who knows you could avoid as well being in an accident if something happens in that big pack.
Yeah, there is an idea to that, and if they have guys to run with, of course, they could do that, but there is still a major advantage for running with a larger pack of cars. It's much faster. These team guys, they're not entirely hooked up as much as they'd like to be, so that's going to be an issue for them. Not going to have the same speed, so they will actually fall further back down the racetrack from the lead pack, as we have some interesting action there. The 48 car in the rear of that lead pack, I believe it is Josh Ball. Yeah, he's desperately trying to find a place to get in there, and well, it's all over the track.
And shuffling going on up at the front also. It's Osborne on the outside trying to challenge back Seth the Merchant, who took the lead from him just a couple of laps ago. Things picking up front and closing in on the first major swing of pit stops in this race, as Dana Osborne going to go to the top spot down in 3 and 4. He will retake the race lead after starting in 3rd. Lap 28 going to go in the books this time by 29 going to be started as we pass the quarter distance mark in a finale in Florida 400K with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series. We're going to step away for just a brief moment and take a caution flag of our own. We'll be right back from the virtual Daytona International Speedway for the Supreme 3-round in the championship race with the iSuperSpeedway Season 4 Racing Series.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe, dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. It's been a very long off season. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car, endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number one. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze Series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class Series, which is the Xfinity cars, and sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warriors Series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12-hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6-hour, several other races along there. And then, of course, the iRacing Pro Racing Champions, which is usually our biggest and most watched event of the year.
That is short track racing, and that's how awesome this sim is, Joe. That's something you see on TV on highlight reels, and we just saw it here, live.
Back live at Daytona, and a caution flag. Gonna come just short of green flag pit stops. We'll put it up on your screen right there. The Air Gun 29 Chevy up, and a little bit of assistance from behind. Looks like the 45 of Kyle Geary got into him. That was that secondary pack, Rachel, that we were talking about. Maybe if we're going to be safer than those leaders as long as they continue to ride single file. Unfortunately, big trouble for them in 3 and 4 puts us under the yellow.
Yeah, big incident out on track just as we're arriving at our first pit window, so this will certainly make things interesting for the drivers in pit strategy. We'll probably see guys come down pit road. This certainly opens up for the first stop, but it certainly places the drivers who are running this race backwards. 20 laps, then 40, then 40, so we're 36 laps in here as the whole field will come down pit road, I believe, apart from a couple of lap cars. Osborne from the lead into the pit box. He's had to back up, so Osborne will concede the lead on this one, and if it's fuel only, taking tyres, which seems like unnecessary here at Daytona. If you are going to take tyres, the left tyres do take the biggest wear, as Seth de Merchant will win the race off pit road.
And that 32 was absolutely flying at a pit road, and he took left side tires only. Those drivers that we were following up at the front of the field took right side tires only. Question is, though, is that Seth the Merchant was doing 63 miles an hour at the commitment cone, rather, on the pit lane exit. May be close for a speeding penalty, Jared. You know, you come down pit road, and iRacing gives you some leniency. You know, you come down into your stall, you got to do 60. 63, he should be okay, I would think, but, you know, in a championship situation, you don't think you'd want to cut it that close.
Evan, the biggest advantage here for these drivers is the timing system in iRacing is based on an average speed. So when you are coming out of your pit box, especially with the likes of Seth the Merchant, who was only 2 segments from the end, he can actually build up a huge head of speed and speed out of his box without it costing him anything, as long as he's under the average for the final segment. So you can speed if you game the system, and that's the average. If you're sat in the segment in your box, you can come out at any speed you like because the average speed is going to be lower. You've been sat there.
Well, it's going to put him to the front of the field right now. Great call. Left side tires, Jared. Everybody else taking right side tires.
Yeah, well, at this speedway, I mean, tires, are pretty important. In my opinion, left sides is the right call here because, I mean, it gives you a little more grip as you're coming into the turn. I know everybody usually says, oh, why don't we take right side tires? It's going to give us coming out of the turn. But that initial turn going into the corner is what's going to basically determine. Well, those right side tires, I mean, it'll help you coming off the corner, but when you're going into the corner, and that's really what gives you your speed and lets you maintain it going down into either the tri-oval or the backstretch.
The big thing that I have to agree with Jared there is, to be fair, the right sides do not take anywhere near as much punishment on this sort of racetrack as they do at any other track where you are reaching that limit of grip. Here it's so easy to go flat out. The right side tires really aren't under stress. You'll find you'll take more like 5 to 10% more wear on the left front than you will on the right front, which is completely inverted to any other track. So if you are going to come down pit road, 2 tires on the left is probably the call if you want to take tires. But you know, if this is a green flag stop or late in the race, I'm not going to take tires because this setup, it can handle it. You can go double stint no tires on this track and still have the speed, plus it gains you massive track position.
Well, that's for sure going to be the big thing because now one stop done. Again, we did see a couple of guys pit earlier, and they were down off of the lead lap, Jared, unfortunately, when that caution came out. So for those big city guys that pit, they're not all going to be able to get back around. And Larry Camp is 2 laps down to 33. We talked about him, the Anheuser-Busch machine, getting some laps back right now. So those guys that may have benefited do get back to the lead lap, but unfortunately for Greg Cook's Chad Kane and company, they're going to be at the back of the lead lap. So unfortunately, the strategy call does not work out for them. But now it almost seems pretty cut and dry. You got 1 pit stop left, and this restart going to be covered up with 62 laps to go. Once you hit lap 60, maybe 58, you should be good to the end.
Yeah, in my opinion, I would short it here. I mean, 38, we're going on lap 38 right now. I mean, it's going to be difficult to see when these guys are going to come in. Everybody is on different teams. Everybody's going to have different strategies. You just got to make sure that you have the right strategy that's going to get you to the front and get you the win, and in this case, the championship.
Well, the lights go off on top of the pace car, so we get set for the first American Ethanol restart on the evening. It is Seth the Merchant who will lead us back to the green flag. Has won a race in every single round of the chase so far. He got the most points totally accumulated last month in July. He is undefeated when facing elimination and also has the most wins out of anybody on the year, tied with his teammate Rodney Wofford. But a different story for the 7 car. Wofford right now sits 5th on the racetrack, and in the 3rd and final Superior 3 driver, the 48 of Josh Ball, is in 7th. And the big question is that all those drivers racing around each other. You finish the highest out of that group, you win the title. Still a long road to hoe here at Daytona. Pace car going to take the sharp left-hand turn and get down and out of the way as the field cycles at a quarter. Number 4 to Merchant and Jorgensen. Going to make up the front row on this one. 27 cars deep, still on the lead lap. And the green flag flies once again. We race across the start-finish line, back underway. And a finale in Florida, 400K, and a great restart for the outside.
Yeah, great run for those guys on the outside. The 88 machine there of Mark Jorgensen Jr. He will be leading at the line. In fact, he's leading now. If anyone could help him clear Seth the Merchant before this gets back to the stripe, then they have a chance. But right now, big push from Dana Osborne there, and that gets Seth the Merchant back to the front.
And the 8 with that assist is going to be able to slide up to 2nd on the racetrack. The 88 still leads on the outside, but that 7 Rodney Wofford been 3rd on the inside lane for quite some time now after he was running with Mark Jorgensen Jr. And Mark went, or rather, he was running with that 32 with Seth the Merchant, and then Seth went up, worked with that 88 machine, was able to get in front of the 8 car. The 7 just kind of sat still on the bottom, did not go anywhere. That Race Federation Incorporated machine still sits on the bottom. How about that to the outside lane, though? Here comes Dana Osborne down to quarter number 3, Jared. We talked about how he was working with the Wicked Autosport guys. Not anymore when he's up at the front of the field. He'll work with the 88 up top, and this puts Seth and Rodney back bumper to bumper.
Yeah, not only has it put Seth and Rodney back bumper to bumper, look who's right behind Rodney. The 48 of Josh Ball. All 3 of those guys in this Supreme 3 round trying to win this championship are all nose to tail. And if all's said and done here, and it looks like it's going to happen, they're going to be running first, second, and third as they come to the stripe here.
And we have seen this time and time again. You look back to Talladega 1 week ago, all of the chase guys facing elimination there were at one point all single file inside of the top 5 numerically, and now it is the Supreme 3 that are dominating. It is Seth the Merchant, Rodney Wofford, and Josh Ball in the top 3, Rachel. You couldn't give these guys a playoff system that can allow for a situation like this to present itself, but for it to be exactly like it has been 2 weeks in a row now with these guys dominating these races. All 4 chase races have been won by the 3 drivers you're looking at up front right now. You guys have really been putting it to them.
Yeah, they absolutely have, and it's, well, this is shaking for a lot of the front. The front of this field definitely dropped back now to a single line. Osborne, the 88, and the 3 falling backwards. That number 3 driver of Brandon Burko was very vocal in the race channels since his return from Star Master testing. But, oh, we have the 94 there on the bottom. He got on the yellow line, hooked that car, broken that field up massively, but they all save it. Incredible save.
It was the 94 of Frank Lucilia. He got hit, I think, from behind by Karsten Dijon Tomaso, and that Chevrolet has had a little bit of those connection issues here that we've been talking about, and but the 94 checked up, the 6 might have surged into him a little bit, nearly turned the 94 around. Frank does get some damage, the 6-2 maybe with some minor stuff, but that could have been a lot worse as that was dead in the middle of the lead pack.
Yeah, it could have been a whole lot worse. But what was really, really close was back there with the 92 of Rod Mitton coming off that corner. He nearly turned the 96 there of Chad Keene as they were 3 wide going through that corner. And I tell you what, these guys are almost racing like it's the last lap. And if I were anybody right now, if I were these guys, I would stay in my line and just run single file. At least get yourself to the last pit stop before you start running.
We saw them going on each other's door right from the top of the green flag, and it does not look like they're planning on changing anytime soon. The 7, though, Rodney Wofford gives up that spot on the bottom to Gamble on the outside. It does not work. The number 3 of Brandon Chaburko jumps up, thinks about helping him out, brings that machine back down to the inside lane, and he'll drop back into what's going to be P5 on a racetrack. And now the 7 going further and further back, Rachel. Maybe he's not comfortable racing how these guys are.
Yeah, this is definitely shaking a lot of things up as we've got 2 cars on the outside there at the front, 21 and the 8. Side drafting hard to try and stay with his pack, but this has broken things up a lot, and I think this could help keep things a little bit cleaner. Feels very separated now, so these guys have got some room. That 94 car, though, has got damage on the back of his bumper, so you have to be careful there. Definitely rear end contact that's potentially going to be race affecting there for Frank Massilia III.
The 8 car going to get back down to the inside. The Budweiser Chevrolet of Dana Osborne tucks back in line. He'll be 4th, but look how tight these guys are. The 28 on the back of the 8, and there's no room for anybody to lift and get air. We've heard a lot of these guys talking about that they got some hot engine temps as well. Still a relatively cool evening. The track temp 83, that matches the partly cloudy conditions at 83, so it's not an overly hot or humid race here at Daytona. Relative humidity is at 72%, could be a small factor, but you see a lot of guys tucking out a line, trying to get air, but you wouldn't know from the top. Here we go, Josh Ball to the outside. He'll get help from the number 3 of Brandon Chaburko. That would have been a finish, 1/1000th to the good for Seth the Merchant. Not going to be enough. New race leader, the 48 of Josh Ball.
Wow, Josh Ball. I mean, that was an impressive move. He timed that beautifully as he got that huge push from Brandon Chaburko there. Chubb Hart showing what he can do and making sure everybody knows his name and that he is back in this league, and he is not going to go down quietly as he's actually going to try to go for the lead here. He had a momentary push there from Jimmy Keacham, but they got broken up, and I don't know if there's anybody who's better than pushing than Brandon Chaburko. He's really going to have a hard time getting up there as he has not had anybody who has been able to come close to pushing as like he has.
And then outside going to fall back very quickly after the 3 car loses the support. The 28 machine of Shane McKeachie going to drop down to the bottom, and goodbye goes Brandon Chaburko.
Yeah, Brandon's I feel bad for him. He waited 2 months to get back in this league, and that happened right there. I mean, he was back here last week, got wrecked out, and he was really looking forward to this race, and that's just really unfortunate right now. But the big news here, he pushed 48 to the lead, and that one spot over Seth Merchant. I mean, one spot's all it takes to win this championship.
And right now, that one spot is all it is, Rachel, an advantage for the 48. A lot of the time you talk about, does it take a win in this final race to win the championship? But again, we talked about Seth the Merchant with 2 wins, Josh Ball, and then as well that 7 Rodney Watford with the other 2. The 3 guys here, the only guys that have won in the chase, with having 33 car fields, to have no spoilers is quite a thing. And to again see these chase guys go to a plate track, which at many times is so unpredictable, and continue to run up front, you might just have to win it.
Well, I've just been looking at what some of our viewers have been saying in the chat room, and yeah, they don't like the point system. It's not exactly like the Sprint Cup Series, of course, where they chase for the race. As Dina Osborne goes way up the track, the 7 goes way down, and everyone holds it together, but Osborne going back along a very, very long line there on the outside.
It looked like the 28 got into him. Shane McEachin on the bottom, pushed up a little bit in that loose trial hole and hanging on to it. But again, crisis averted for the most part. But you mentioned earlier that apron there, especially through the travel, I guess, very, very loose. And, you know, a car pushed up the racetrack here, as you were saying, going into quarter number 3, going into quarter 1. Same thing happens in the trial. That's where we saw that contact.
Yeah, it's very dangerous to happen right there, because that's one of the fastest part of the tracks, but unfortunately it is also one of the loosest part of the tracks. If you barely clip the 8, like you see the 28 right there, he barely clipped the WL line, but if you go too far, like down there, it will basically put you into a tailspin. It'll upset that car, which is what happened there, and he just went straight up into the 8 of Dana Osborne.
The 6 of Karsten D. John Tomaso hanging in pretty good, goes to the outside. That driver has damage. He's fought through connection issues, so to be in the top 5, still quite the feat after starting in 23rd. Problem is, Rachel, everybody else saw that he had those connection issues, and, well, nobody went up top with him.
Nobody did indeed, and that's really caused a problem for them. They're just going to be, well, biding their time. It's a long race to go here, as they're going to have to work their way back through this traffic, but it's a tough position to be in. Sometimes you got to take risks, sometimes you don't, and, well, it'd be a boring race if everyone stayed in line until lap 99.
And although a lot of positions continue to change as we cross the halfway point in today's race, it's now time for our iRacing mid-race break, brought to you by iRacing.com, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. Guys, we'll take one at a time, and we'll each recap how the chase drivers have been doing, because that's the big storyline. I'm going to kick off at 48 of Josh Ball. Started this race in 8th, leads right now, and I'll tell you, that's all he needs after winning 1 week ago. Was the only thing that could get him in. He got the job done. He just tried to go back-to-back at a Hendrick Chevy. He leads, and he's got a challenge, Rachel, from his other chase competitor, that 32 car.
Yeah, the 32 car in a great run right now. Heading up that high side. Can they clear him on this corner? This is a great place to be in. Keep the momentum down straight away. They can get out in front. And this, yeah, looks like the Merchant will be clear, if not now, in a couple of inches. This is going to be too close. I don't think they'll make it. Falling back along line here, so this will be another lap side by side at the front. And, well, it's very tight in this field as we have 2 chase competitors battling out for the win.
Yeah, and you got the 7 of Roddy Walford right back there. I mean, he started on pole position, so, I mean, he's kept in the top 10 pretty much the entire race. But he's just sitting there by this time. He's got a pretty good cushion between him and the 88. It's actually the 6 is going to come down in front of him now, give P5 to Carson T. John Tomaso as Rodney Walford falls back to P6. But, I mean, he's been very quiet today. He hasn't done a lot of the aggressive moves as we're used to seeing him, like Seth the Merchant, do, but he's just a sleeper. He's probably like a Rod Flag last year. What would you say?
A driver that keeps it quiet. I'd put that 48 in that category too. Josh Ball, up until last week, did drive very much so like Rod Flag, which that Rod Flag machine to a championship just 1 season ago is, don't go out there and be overly aggressive. Let the race come to you. Play it smart. Put that car in the right spot. And get the win. That's what Small's been doing all year, but I guess he's joining the Seth the Merchant bandwagon as far as you gotta go for it. Things continue to heat up front. The 32 with a huge push from the 28 at a quarter number 2, and goodbye. Hello, Seth the Merchant. The Energizer Chevy blows through to the race lead, and he'll bring that 28 machine with him, as it's going to be Shane McEachin who drops down into second. This has been your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of racing possibilities on the web, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Past halfway, and it is still the chase drivers up front, and as of now, leading once again is Seth the Merchant. We're going to step away, and we will go LSRTV side by side now in the final half of this race. Going to be 45 to go this next time by, and this chase battle still much on everybody's mind. You're watching the finale in Florida, 400K on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
It's been a very long offseason. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number 1. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone has just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, and Ottinger's gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class series, which is the Xfinity cars. Sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warriors series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12-hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6-hour, several other races along there. And then, of course, the iRacing Pro Racing Champions, which is usually our biggest and most watched event of the year.
That is short track racing, and that's how awesome this sim is, Joe. That's something you see on TV on highlight reels, and we just saw it here, live.
We invite iRacers who are real-world racers. They compete every December. Guys like Alex Gurney, Justin Wilson, Scott Speed, Ron Capps, the list goes on. Really some big-name drivers from all major forms of motorsport. It's really neat to see them get together and race together.
Wofford up top, down. Oh, he turned! Wofford gets turned! Caution is out foul at the front of the field!
The easiest place to find the broadcast is on our website, iRacing.com/live. So you can find some of our races on fanschoice.tv as well. Place to find iRacing broadcast. You can also find it at mrn.com and peakauto.com.
Back live at a virtual Daytona International Speedway on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing, alongside Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford, and Jared Haggerty up at a broadcast booth, and we are inside of the pit window. Going to be 40 laps to go this time by, and it is still Seth the Merchant, one of the three Supreme 3 drivers that leads this finale in Florida 400K with the championship Friday night with the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. And Jared, you said it about 2-3 times when we were on commercial. They're racing too hard. These guys have been going at it since the green.
Yeah, they really need to ease up off each other right now as we are in the pit window right now. I mean, these guys really have to bide their time. I'm just saying, if they keep racing too hard, they're eventually going to make a mistake, or somebody's going to make a mistake, and it's going to end up in a big wreck. As we are currently coming up on pit stops here, Evan, why don't you take us down to pit stop strategy?
Well, we're within the final 40. Rachel, you talk about doing this backwards, going 20, and then the next set of 40. Then you talk about doing it the right way. Well, here we go. The 28 going to jump down from second. Shane McKeechan in pit road. Frank Wasilia coming down with them. Beautiful entry. Jason Altmans as well. The 3 Chaburko down.
Well, you'd think being a Super Speedway series, these guys would have the Super Speedway pit entry nailed under green, and they get into those boxes perfectly. To see what these guys actually take tires. They're not going to keep an eye on Frank Vasilia, the 3rd here, and Chabrico in the 3. They're next to each other. Will those cars jack up? Left side for Frank, left sides for the 3. And they're away. So it looks like left side tires only, fuel only for the 28. And that's 3 cars with left side tires. So this is the final call these guys are making. They want those fresh tires to get that corner turn just right to keep the speed up through the corner. This will be really important in the end.
More pit stops here from those teammates. They're side by side. The 7, the 32, 3 wide into pit road. Look at the 96. The leaders just got split. How about that? The Wicked Autosports guys are in.
Yeah, and that actually caused a bump for Seth the Merchant there, as he is actually a lot further down the pit lane. And I don't know why that 96 came in there so high.
Oh, he missed his box. 96 missed his pit box.
Yeah, 96 missed his
The Merchant is not taking tires. Right sides for the 96. Oh, 4 tires for the other 2 cars that came in with him. So the 7 and the 32 will come out together, both with no tire stops.
Now, Jared, coming down, we saw that first group have 4 cars. These guys coming down together. Now, here comes Josh Ball for the race lead. The 6, the 88. Let's go 3 wide down pit road again into entry contact. The 88 gets turned around. Josh Ball's involved in it. Damage on the right front of the 48 machine after contact with the 6 and the 88. After Karsten DeJohn Tomaso gets into Jorgensen, that could be crucial for the Lowe Chevrolet.
Yeah, unfortunately, that might Josh Ball's race unless we get a caution here. Devastating. That could not have come in a worse time, as it looked like, I think it was the 6 going in there way too hot. He just comes in there way too hot, and he tried to split Jorgensen and Ball. I mean, that, I'm sorry, but Carson, that was a really poor move on your part.
You're taking a look full screen at all what went down there, and if that's not bad enough, it's the fact that Josh Ball is on the apron and he does not have help around him. He can try to get up to the number 2 machine of Donnie Giratano, Rachel, but there's nobody right with him. If they try to hook up, it's just going to take too long. That could very well be the 48's night, and we talk about how these chase guys have dominated. We talked about how we haven't seen anybody throw trouble down in corners 3, and it looks like Giratano, Rod Mitten, close call there. Those drivers able to hang on after that one just about got ugly real quick. We talked about how we hadn't seen any spoilers so far. Well, another way to spoil besides winning is to have one of those other 26 cars get into it somehow and affect the chase driver. That's what we saw.
It is, and Carson DeJohn Tomaso actually there. His car was retired after that incident on pit road. That was number 6, let's not forget. The car that caused the issue there with your chase contender, Josh Ball. So that's going to be really important for him. But yeah, what can we not say about this? It's been incredible what's happened amongst these guys, and it's going to be a major factor. But look at this, the 32 and the 48 working together. I am not sure if Josh Ball's still in the lead lap. I think he is. So your 2 chase contenders currently working as a tandem.
I can actually answer that. They're about 45 seconds, no, 39 seconds now behind the leaders, who are actually at this point the number 82 of Dan Harrington. We've not talked about him at all today, but he's going to try to stretch it as far as he can. But I don't think that's going to be a good move in the long run, because you're going to eventually have to come down. And right behind him, the only other driver who has not pit yet is that number 85 of Paul Servant. The Oreos Chevrolet rides in P2.
And you take a look at the top 5 are the drivers that have yet to come down pit road. Dan Harrington, Paul Servant, Rod Flagg, Jimmy Todd, and Daniel Ferguson. Your race leader would become the 28 of Shane McEachin. They ride 35 seconds back, and but the big part is that they are 3 seconds in front of this group of cars that you see Rodney Wofford, you see the 48, you see the 32. So, guys, somehow after 2 sets of 3 wide on the pit road, cars wrecking and different tire strategies, your 3 championship drivers are all working together with the 2 cars crunched in the middle.
Yeah, you got these 2 cars scrunched in the middle, but I think Harrington just came over the radio and said he might be pitting here this time by. So if that's the case, we're definitely going to be seeing a pit stop and giving up the lead. It'll look like he'll be giving up the lead to Rod Flagg if that's the case. As they're coming through 4 right now, they are not going to pit this time by. So that strategy went out the window. So right now, Dan Harrington, Paul Servant continue to lead this race, but as you get a little further back, 34 seconds now, so they're actually pulling away from this lead pack. Shane McEachin, that pack of Frank Brasilia, Jason Altman, and Brandon Chaburka, they're pulling away from this. Now remember, also, they were the first cars to pull off the pit, and that strategy works time and time again. You want to be the first on pit road. You want to be the ones who pull off first, because you're going to be the ones that come out ahead of everybody.
Yeah, right now it looks like they're chasing, but in reality, every time that gap goes from 35 down to 34.8 and 34.7 seconds behind, that's going to be a 10th gained every single time when these guys do have to come down pit road, and you would assume that they would cycle to the lead once those top 5 still need to come down for service. The big thing that we need to keep an eye on while we run here, Rachel, is that you have Shane McEachin in 6th, you have 7th, 8th, and 9th working together. Frank Brasilia, Jason Altmans, and Brandon Chaburko. 2 seconds behind them is that set of 4 with the 7 Ronnie Wofford, chase driver, Donnie Giratano in the 2, who is the teammate to the 32 in the 7, and then the 48 of Josh Ball right there as well. So all 3 chase guys right now running in number 10, 12, and 13 on a racetrack. They need to catch up to Shane McEachin, Brasilia, Altmans, and Chaburko if they want to be able to fight for the win, but they could just fight amongst themselves.
They could indeed, and of course, I think we are going to see some drivers haven't pitted on this strategy. We'll see some guys coming in with 20 to go, and that will shake things up. 30 seconds back right now for those 3 chase contenders, all of whom were running at the top end of this pack for pitting, so there's a few cars that are still yet to pit. I'd say it's in the region of 5 cars from Ferguson through to Harrington, so that top 5 will need to come down to the pit road again. It could well be a splash and dash for them, but they will still have to come, and that really brings us into a position of which of these drivers can actually make up this 2-second gap, the likes of Shane McEachin, because this will be the front of the race for the finale. As we see those 4 cars ahead of them, they're about to catch, so they're actually getting up there now, and we're going to see exactly what they can do. Frank Brasilia trying to go on the outside, can't quite make it, but it's going to be this will be the fight for the very point. Who can get to the front of it first of those 3 chase drivers?
And now, Jared, is this good news or bad news that you caught these guys? Obviously, you know, you want to go for the win, but if you're Rodney Wofford, Josh Ball, and Seth the Merchant, you were off for the lead, which we know things are going to get crazy for late. Now you're in the middle of it all, so you know, nobody can pass you. You guys can fight for 17th position. That's still going to be the determining factor in the championship. Now that they're into there you go! Seth the Merchant hard after the contact, and 1 car in the fence. It's the 28 of Shane McEachin. No caution flag. We will stay green. Now the yellow flag will come out, and Seth the Merchant's number 32 Chevrolet. Just as I was going to say, now you're racing around, guys, where something can and may happen, Jared. The 32 got hit by the 28 of Shane McEachin, came back up the racetrack and took him out.
Oh, yeah, terrible crash right there on the racetrack, and it was just a bouncing effect. He obviously, you know, tapped there by the car of Shane McEachin. He just can't really hold it down. Once you go down, it's going to come back up again with the momentum, and Wow, that could have been so much worse for your championship contender.
It actually, Laura, it actually is a really bad thing for Seth the Merchant, or sorry, Rachel. Laura's up there in the broadcast.
Because Laura's in our ear.
Yeah, but that was actually really bad for Seth. I'm looking on the back end of his car. He has got a ton of damage, not necessarily to the rear spoiler, but that damage could cause a big problem. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to push or not. Evan, what do you see from there?
Well, that 32 has not had to deal with damage yet tonight, so he can very well come down pit road. He's 12th out of 13 lead lap drivers. He's not going to lose much if he comes down pit road and gets that machine serviced, besides falling back one more spot. You're going to see the top 5 drivers now come down pit road. They're going to be able to make it to the end on fuel, but this will relinquish the lead to the P6 machine, the 51 of Jason Altmans. Dan Harrington is down, Paul Servant, Rod Flagg, Jimmy Todd, and Daniel Ferguson. All 5 of those cars going to come down pit road. Jason Altmans will cycle around them in a Best Buy Ford Fusion, go to the top spot on the racetrack, but Wofford now sits in front of Josh Ball, and what can Seth the Merchant do? That Energizer Chevy is going to be coming down right here, obviously looking for repairs after that contact on the front straightaway. It could have been worse, in the fact that he could have ended up, like the machine that had been contacted, and he could have been hard into the outside wall and around, like we saw the 32 machine. He's into his pit stall, and he'll use up, guys, that one quick fix, Rachel. This is something we talked about in the IROC race. This is something that was very present at Talladega 1 week ago with Jason Altmans at a 51 machine, is that you use that quick fix, you still have a fresh car, but now anything can happen and you don't have anything to fall back on. He comes down, gets a new race car, gets 4 tires, he's all set to go, but he can't afford anything else bad to happen.
No, he can't, and there's quite a number of drivers already in this race that can't afford for anything bad to happen. We've had a few moments and love taps and exchanges of feelings so far. So it's going to really make things exciting towards the end, of course. We've got 16 laps to go, so this is going to be a pretty crazy finish. These guys have been at it like it's the final lap from the drop of the green flag. I can barely imagine what it'll be like now. But gotta ask though, Evan, who is your pick for the win?
Well, we're taking a look. When the lead cycles through, it's going to go to the 51 of Jason Altmans. We talked to Altmans last week. He was very dejected about not being able to transfer in, saying that he felt that 51 Best Buy team did what they needed to do to transfer. So he can take that and, push it towards getting the race win. But as far as the championship goes, I said Rodney Wofford, the big thing is, if you weren't with us and you weren't tuned in for this entire Season 4 championship, is that although the 7 total statistics will show 3 wins, he got 3 wins in the first 3 weeks of the year right here at Daytona. Rodney Wofford won the iSuperSpeedway shootout, he won his respective duel, and he won the season opening Daytona 250. He has owned this racetrack this season. I have a feeling like that 7 machine may still be able to find some magic. Jared, are you still sticking with the 32 on your pick?
It's really hard. My brain is telling me to go with the 32. My gut is actually telling me to go with the 48. I mean, the 48 has come through so much adversity today. He's been forward. He's been back in the pack today. And he is also just, I think, run a really good race. Despite that little incident on pit road where he got hit by the 6, I mean, I still think he's got a really good shot. He's made the moves when they needed to. He knows how to go to the outside, and he's also a very good pusher. And if I were him, I would try to link up with either 2 of the best pushers out there. I would try to link up with either the 3 of Brendan Chaburko, which will be on the outside this time, or that 94 of Frank Brasilia, who's also a good pusher.
Altmans, Chaburko going to be on the front row. Then you got your first chase driver in Rodney Wofford. He'll be in 3rd. Josh Ball is going to be in 6th on the outside of row 3. And Seth the Merchant is going to be in 12th. But Rachel, now that he came down pit road, I said he was 12th out of 13 lead lappers. Not going to lose much. He didn't lose anything. But bad news is now all of those drivers that were a lap down coming back to the lead lap. Lead lap car number total now 27. That puts that 32 right smack dab in the middle of the hornet's nest.
It does, but we know he's a good driver, and you know what? I think he's going to be inspired here. He's still my pick for the race win. This guy is going to be fired up, and he's going to want to come through this pack, so he's going to have to do his best here to try and keep this clean. I think it's possible for him. He is in the middle, but with the speed, I think he can move forwards. He's on P12 right now. I don't think that's unachievable. I think that's completely logistically possible for the race win. We've seen his outside line move, so let's see if we can get it done.
The lights go off for the pace car for what could be the final time. However, I feel like they've gotten away. Yeah, I feel like they've gotten away quite lucky on how hard these guys have been racing. It's inside of the final quarter of this one, and I feel like it's going to get a little bit more intense. And now you got to play with the cards you've been dealt. This is it. Again, there's still a checkered flag. This is an endurance event. You want to walk away with a special piece of hardware, but also the championship is the big story in all of this as far as what will happen between Wofford, Ball, and Seth the Merchant, who was just caught up in an incident on the front straightaway, has a new race car, but is back and mired back in traffic. If anybody can get through it, it's not the three of Brandon Chaburko. Seth the Merchant has kind of taken over that intimidator role this season with the absence of that 3 machine. Very strong at the end of the Season 3 championship, running part-time. We knew he would be a threat when he came on full-time, and he might just have to try to take the longtime hopes of his teammates' championship hopes for the 7 running Wofford away if he wants to be able to do this. Field's going to cycle at a quarter number 4. Let's go back green flag racing. Going to be 24 on the board. This time by pace car down to the way. Jason Altman's in control of the field. Green flag flies and back underway in the finale in Florida 400K. Great restart on the outside advantage Chaburko.
Yeah, Chaburko with a great restart there. He's actually going to go and do it by himself. He clears 51 of Jason Altman's going into 1. And Jump Hart is back and with force. He's saying, I am back and you just try to take this lead from me. As they go down the back stretch, Jump Hart in the lead.
51 wanting to jump out to the outside. Nobody there, though, to help him. It is all the inside lane down the back straightaway. Seth the Merchant on the outside lane. Not good news for the 32 as well. And 48 of Josh Ball stuck up top.
It is indeed, and well, those two cars are practically next to each other as Ball will drop to the inside. It's 99 and 32 now. 24 hooking it behind. And that is the 88 machine behind them. So these 4 cars could push real hard right now. I think they can make their way towards the front of this race. They're already doing just that. Bottom line is not consistent with right now. That 94 of Frank Basilia all over the track. Cannot keep it to the bottom, and it's just allowing them to creep forwards. They are doing it, and it's working so well. Seth the Merchant, a man on a mission.
We saw that 32 absolutely fly to the race lead when he took it over a couple of laps ago around the midway point, and now he is flying on the outside. The 48 jumped to the bottom to play it safe, and he had to watch that 32 just drive by him like he was out for his Friday night stroll. The 32 now down to the inside of the racetrack. He'll get up and behind Frank Lucilia up to 6th as he chases his teammate in 3rd for the overall championship. Brandon Chaburko, though, would love to end off this season with a winning note after not being able to compete in the middle part. He won early. He was supposed to be in this chase, had to serve a suspension, evidently dropped him outside of the eligible points range, so was not able to be a part of this chase. Good way to get your Season 5 hope started. I guess would be to finish off Season 4 with a trip to victory lane. That's exactly what he's trying to do. The 51, though, trying to peek to the inside. If that 3 gives him any room, I can guarantee you Jason Altman's will go forward. With the Henrik cars on the top, the 24, the 88. They may be trying to help out their 48. However, I don't see Josh Ball with them. Seth the Merchant going to join up there. He now leads the outside. Here he comes.
He does, and here comes the 7 out front. His teammate Rodney Wofford. 32 and the 7 hooked up teammates will go to the front of this one. Chaburko comes up to the top to pull them. Oh, Chaburko checking him up big style there.
Seth the Merchant! Seth the Merchant in trouble! Seth the Merchant into the outside.
More carnage!
A huge wreck late in this race, and that may be it. After that 32 got checked up on the outside of the racetrack, huge contact, and that car acted like it got something ripped out of the rear end, but trouble in corner number 2. The 32, the on-man out, gets shot up the racetrack. He comes down. The 48 of Josh Ball nearly collected, but skates on through, and the big one down on lap number 80 not only obliterates the back half of the field. You had Austin Carver barrel rolling down the back straightaway. At least a dozen or so race cars involved in that one. But the big story is that Seth the Merchant's car is destroyed. He comes to pit road.
That, guys, I can't even begin to talk about that wreck. That was caused entirely by the number 3, Brandon Chaburko. Chaburko pulls out to the outside way too late to get some of the series rules, blocking the line's momentum. He then purposefully slows down. You look at how fast the 51 comes past on the bottom side. Chaburko picks up the outside line on purpose, concertina effect, and kills the championship for the 32 machine. That was terrible to see, and look what it's done to our field.
Hey, that 3 went to the outside and went good with a 7, and he jumped out right as they go into the corner, so he threw his momentum away. They were okay, but then it was a huge run for the Hamrick cars. They tapped the back of Seth the Merchant, and again, that car just goes up, and immediately after that incident, race control reminding the drivers that you cannot block a line's momentum. You can go up maybe on the back straightaway and you know, kind of help it and jump up and try to work with it, but you know, comes up, completely slows that lane down. Seth the Merchant's number 32 is down on pit road. He's trying to get something fixed on it. There's still a small glimmer of hope that those other guys may rank out of this one, but Jared Haggerty, I think it's official to say that with this new iSuper chase, the best driver on the year may not be walking away with the championship. Seth the Merchant, so strong all year, really brought that car to life. He won his way in through to the round of 6 by winning in the opening race of the chase. He then won the first race of the round of 6 to lock himself in here tonight. Wrecked out once, and you know, Mike saw 1 week ago with the 51 machine of Jason Altman's, wrecks out, gets back out there, gets caught up in somebody else's mess, and his title hopes will fall 20 laps short at Daytona.
Yeah, I just got a little chat message from Seth the Merchant here saying he is done and he is taking that car to the garage. I feel so bad for Seth. He ran a great season this year, and to have that happen that late in the race, I mean, we said we expected the big one to happen. We just didn't know when it would come, and unfortunately the 32 of Seth the Merchant was the victim in that.
And one thing you don't want to see, Rachel, is, I guess, animosity throughout the teams, because you look, the 48 of Josh Ball, you know, asking Seth if he's okay, if he's still in this race, and Seth giving him the news that he's out. An unfortunate situation where the 24 did check up, but he got hit by the 88 who was on the gas and didn't expect the 24 to check up. That small tap pushed him into the 32, and what you hate to see is there be any sort of speculation, you know, but that the 32 gets turned by 2 cars that are teammates of a driver that he's competed against. Absolutely not what that situation was, but you hate to see something anywhere, you know, along the lines of that, so that some people might speculate that. And you can hear through in the voice of the 48 of Josh Ball that he's equally as disappointed that he won't be able to race with the 32 to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the 32 is going to be in the fight with the 48 there, the 7 as well. And it was great to have teammates fighting against different teams with this one, but that was... I don't think anybody in their right mind could blame 24 or could blame the 88. It was an unfortunate situation that happened. Those guys were simply victims of the situation. These things happen on super speedways. I'm still putting all my blame on the 3 of Chaburko. It was a dumb move. It was a dumb time. And it's thrown this championship into disrepair. It's changed everything. It's dramatic. It is, well, here we go. We're going to have 16, 17 laps to go. I think the race has just begun.
And Rachel, I really don't want to say that's how Chubbs races, but I mean, he is one of the most aggressive drivers in the series. He doesn't want people to get around him. I mean, that honestly, after
rules
running with
are
him,
rules.
Rules are rules, but after running with him for so many years, it's just come to be expected with Brandon. I mean, I know the rules are set and dry. I mean, but at the same time, I could see, as a driver, I could see where Brandon would think that would be the right move. But again, I agree the timing wasn't probably right, but the move, it could be questionable.
As a driver myself, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was a bonehead move. Even if the series didn't have a rule about checking momentum on lines, there was no possible way he was going to pick up the momentum of those guys behind him and get shoved further forwards. He was basically trying to block, trying to defend his position at the race lead. And just saying, well, that driver will do it because they like to defend their position, is usually a good reason to turn their back bumper into the wall.
We have seen that move, guys, happen a couple of times tonight. However, we've seen it happen on the straightaway, and that's a huge difference because you can tap somebody on a straightaway and it's not going to be anything along the lines of what you'll see if that happens in the corner. I think the big thing in this situation is that the 3 goes to the outside going into the corner, and when you go up the hill as opposed to down the hill like the 51 did, you lose all that momentum. And it didn't help that the 48, the 24 just so happened to have a Seth the Merchant run on the outside like we'd seen the 32 do a couple of times, and it's 1, 2, 3 different, small scenarios there that fall into place, and unfortunately for Seth the Merchant, no consolation. That driver's going to finish at least in 26th position. He'll still get a 3rd in the title, still walk away with some hardware at the end of the year, but a heartbreaking way to see it end nonetheless, and we're still not done because, we still got at least 16 laps to go in this race, and let's see how it pans out. It's going to be the 51 of Jason Altman's in control of the field. Donnie Giratano will sit shotgun on the front row. Still 22 cars strong on the lead lap.
Yeah, we're looking for a good finish out of this one, of course, and, well, the lights on the iRacing.com first safety car is out. We will be going green this time around at the start-finish line, and, well, it's going to be 15 to go at the line. Bring it on, boys. Let's take this one home.
Pace car gets set to dive down. Trouble back in the pack. It looks like a big check up. The 8 car of Dana Osborne may have gotten some damage on pit road. Looks like he lost his engine as everybody else tries to dive around to get around. We still go green at the start-finish line. 16 laps to go. This one's still far from over. It's a full moon in Daytona Beach. We go side by side to 1 championship contenders, the 7 of Wofford in 5th, and a 48 of Josh Ball in 10th.
Yeah, they are indeed, and a good run for the inside line as we normally expect here. That outside line falling apart, only Basilia and 2 of Giratano on the outside. 99 falling back, the 48 is trapped on the inside line, so there's 3 cars between him and the 7. Right now, he's looking like he's in a good spot.
That 48 needs some support, and his teammates not necessarily around him right now. They're all in front of him, Jared. If Hanner and Jorgensen don't drop back, Josh Ball needs somebody to help him, and he was just working in front of Kyle Geary, the 45 machine. That Ford may be the one that helps him.
Yeah, he's going to need a lifetime from Kyle Geary. He's probably just begging, dude, stay behind me, push me up there, help me get this championship. And if I'm Josh Ball, I'm just praying that I can work with somebody. He's going to actually get up to the back in the 98 of Greg Hooks. Greg Hooks, who finished 2nd last year in the championship. We hadn't heard from him all night tonight, but he's actually up there in the top 10 now, and he might just have to work with Josh Ball. And I don't know. These Hanerick boys, they're all on the inside here, but they need to get Josh Ball, in my opinion, they need to get Josh Ball in front of them and help their teammate out in this championship.
The outside slowly starting to diminish as we're used to seeing. The 2 of the 94, the only representatives of that outside lane. Anywhere close down, contact into the outside wall. That's the 7 of Rodney Wofford. Wofford wrecks down in corner number 1.
Where's
the 48 of Josh Ball gets through it. Are you kidding me? Back-to-back times, the Wicked Autosport Chevrolets are in it, and this time it's Wofford who takes the blow.
Oh no, what happened there was the 24 actually had a bobble from his teammate, Mark Jorgensen Jr., which actually sent him up into the 2, and the 2 came down right onto his teammate, Roddy Wofford, and from there, oh man, it was just total carnage. And and here's the interesting thing, I don't know if Josh Ball got away clean with that because he did get hit pretty good by the 45 of Kyle Geary there.
So the 7 is in the outside retaining wall, and for the second incident in a row, Rachel, it is a Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet car that is part of the start of the incident that takes out a Wicked Autosports car. Looks like the 24, though, did go up the slightest bit, but he may have gotten clipped by the 94 Frank Busilia. It's very difficult for the 24 to know that the 94 was there because they were staggered. They weren't right on each other's door. The 94 was just at his right rear. That slight contact turns him up into the 2, and that 7 car, nowhere to go, goes plowing into the outside wall.
Yeah, we have news. The 7's actually managed to use his repair, so he's back in this one. and well down the order, so it could be a problem to get back to the front in the number of laps we have. But the fight is not over. All we can say is, well, this one escalated quickly.
And now the 48 of Josh Ball with that back end damage, as you mentioned, Jared, got hit in the back, I believe, by the 45 of Kyle Geary, because the 45 showing some front end damage on that Barbasol Ford Fusion. Nowhere for the 45 to go, just slammed the brakes as quick as he could, and the 48 got plowed in the back end. We take a look now. Josh Ball does not have a clean race car. Does he come down pit road, or does he stay out because the 7's got a fresh one? He'll bring the low Chevy down. This is still far from over.
Yeah, at this point he had to come down. He had to use that reset because Rodney Watford would have been coming. I mean, all it is, remember, all Josh Ball has to do is finish in front of the 7. That's it, and he wins the championship. So right now, as you see, he's going to actually just use a reset, and that's it. No gas, no tires, just a reset, and I'm back on track because I want to be as close to Rodney Watford as it is possible here on this sim.
And Wofford's in front of him right now, Rachel, but the 7 may end up behind because he came down pit road right away to avoid having to go around an additional lap in order to get service when pit road opened, because he risked losing that engine. So 7's going to get an EOL penalty, so the 48 will get up in front of him. But now, much like we saw the situation with the 32, both of these championship drivers have nothing left. This is their final race car. There's 10 laps to go at Daytona with a big trophy on the line. And as we've seen in the final 20 laps, who knows what's going to happen? This has been an absolutely incredible race. From the 3 chase drivers running 1, 2, 3 to the Wicked Autosports drivers having a stranglehold on it and both being taken out in separate incidents. And now both the 7 and the 48 involved in an incident together. They both get fixed. They're both going to be deep in the pack. And there's still 10 laps to go.
Yeah, 10 laps to go. And a caution could make this real exciting. But 2 cautions, which is possible, could change everything. So I think we have not seen the last green yellow flag yet in this race. With 10 laps to go, it's going to be incredibly intense. But as we know, Rodney Watford will end up further down the field. He might get placed behind the lap down cars, being a drop to end, but we'll have to find out. I think that will happen to him. That could be a major setback.
So Evan, I actually got a question for you. You got all this carnage happening, 2 cautions back to back to back. Who's your pick now? Because I'm still going to be sticking with the 48 of Josh Ball on this point.
Well, I said the 7 of Wofford last week at Talladega, and thankfully for me, he's still in here and he's still riding. The 32 of Seth the Merchant, which was, I know, your initial pick and my initial pick too, going into this championship, is out, which, you know, it's a part of, we talked about that last season in the chase. We had the chase, but there weren't these elimination rounds. So without the elimination rounds, the 32 in tonight, here were his last 4 results in the chase. He has a first, a second, first, a third, a first, and a second. It's incredible for the 32. 1 race on the year he wrecks out. His championship hopes are gone. So it's crazy in that regard. Wofford's going to be 16th. It looks like Josh Ball's going to be 13th. I just feel like the 7, who has been a little bit more conservative, as we've noted tonight, over the 48, over the 48 of Josh Ball, who's been more aggressive. It's been the other way around all year. The 48's been kind of calm. The 7's been more following in Seth's footsteps of going crazy. I feel like you can't play it calm anymore, and we're going to see both the 7 and both the 48 going to go charging through the field. You got to give the advantage to Josh Ball because he's got the track position. Question is, if there's a wreck, how much time in green flag racing do they get to try to make passes?
See, the only problem here is I find that outside line that's always been able to get the run, and with Rodney Walford starting in 16th is going to put him on the outside. Now Josh Ball starting in 13th, he might have a checkup on the inside. We don't know what's going to happen until that green flag drops, but there could be a checkup on the inside, could be a checkup on the outside. You just don't know until the green flag drops. And if I'm in line at this point, I'm just my fault, Evan. It looks like Josh Ball's going to be on the outside, and it's going to be Rodney Walford to the inside.
You know, one driver drops off in front of them, so they both jump up 1 spot, which means they both stagger 1 more. And instead of being in 14th, Watford goes to 15th. He'll go to the bottom of the racetrack. Josh Ball goes from 13th to 12th, and he'll go from the inside to the outside.
He does indeed, and this could make things real exciting right now. Of course, Wofford and Ball not be starting side by side, but they are within 2 to 3 cars of each other, and with the way the outside lines have gone, this could have been this could well be advantage Wofford if that outside line cannot get moving.
Wofford's going to have a teammate right in front of him, Jared.
Yeah, he's got Donnie Garitano in front of him, and if I'm Roddy Wofford, I am thanking the race gods above that I at least have a teammate with me going into this final restart. As you look up at Josh Ball, the only thing that is close to him is Jorgensen and Hanner. They're both up in 3rd and 4th right now. We're going to go on board here with these 2 drivers. Evan, take us here to the green as they're coming to 4.
You look at the cockpit inside of the sim racing rig of the 51 of Jason Altmans. You'll watch what he sees from his home as he takes us back to the green. You as well sit on board with Josh Ball and Rodney Wofford. 9 laps to go at Daytona. Pace car is down and away. Green flag flies once again. We're back underway. And again, the 3 car, not the control car, but on the outside with a better start. He'll get clear down to 1.
Major disadvantage for the number 7 of Wofford as Kyle Gary's slow on the start before really late to the inside, and he's been held back so much by that. Gary did not go and then pulled off the apron, which has made a huge gap for him, and that outside line is going.
Oh, trouble, Josh Hanner!
Trouble on the racetrack.
The 48 survives it. I'll tell you, the 48 was about half a foot from getting taken out. Caution flag will fly yet again. But that 48 just about got pummeled by his teammate. The 88 machine with big trouble down the back straightaway. Mark Jorgensen Jr., who was running in 3rd position, gets a little sideways on the top after the 31 gives him some assistance. The 2 Henrik guys that have been together all night get together. You take a look at the replay now. The 24 goes spinning. The 88 comes back up the racetrack, and he hit him. He hit the left rear of the 48 of Josh Ball. The Josh Ball does get damaged. Still in this. And then the 7 of Rodney Wofford, guys, drops to the apron and just avoids the spinning 88. And we'll have 1 final restart. The 48 with the track position, but the 7 with the clean car.
How in the world did Josh Ball get through that, Rachel? I mean, like, I can't even tell you how the sim did not turn his car there. He should have been out and just destroyed, but somehow the race gods said, I'm sparing you for this time. And Josh Ball is going to be, I believe he's going to be here in 5th of coming up to this restart. So he's going to have the inside advantage. Rodney Wofford is going to be back there in 12th, it looks like. So, I mean, he has the advantage of the track position, but I don't know how many laps we're going to have as we go back to green here.
No, there will not be many. There'll be more like 4 laps, we're thinking, as the 88 car speared across in front of them, missing them completely. And I mean, this car has been more accurate than the real driver Dale Jr. has ever been with the car, because it managed to clear every single car in the field apart from his teammate in the chase. So, major rear quarter panel damage for that number 48 car, as hit car just plows into him on the way to the wall. And, well, don't know how it's going to affect his speed, but if you were Josh Ball, or I was Josh Ball, in front of my car's clean, I am not coming to pit road.
Well, he doesn't have that quick fix, so coming down would mean he'd have to sit on pit road and evidently have to wait to get that car repaired. So that would put him behind. Right now he has the track position again. The big issue for Rodney Wofford was that he was not with that lead group on that last restart because Kyle Geary had front end damage on the 45. The 45 was so slow getting up to speed, ducked out of the way. The 7 was gone. He was done for. Now, although he is 12th and Josh Ball is 6th, 48 has some minor damage. The 7 is going to get just one last shot at attempting to be able to get up there. He's got to pass 5 cars to do it. He'll still have Donnie Garitano right in front of him, but I mean, the 48, he's got the track position. If you're Josh Ball, I'm sure you're not going to object to a very quick caution as long as you're not in it.
Yeah, absolutely, and he really will be praying for that caution to come out before anything happens. And well, this was going to be a explosive finale.
I just looked, Rachel, and both of his teammates are gone now. With Tanner Mann not being here tonight, Jorgensen and Hanner were the only teammates that Josh Ball had. And also another interesting thing, it's not one teammate you got to deal with. It's two teammates. You got Donnie Giratano and Ray Rittenauer, who we never talk about. We keep forgetting he is a Wicked Autosports car. Ray Rittenauer and Donnie Giratano, so they're going to be trying everything they can, in my opinion, to help Rodney get to that front.
Well, we had saw it at one point when that 48 was back in the pack. Both the 88 and the 24, especially where they got together there, they were in front of him. And if you want to try to drop back and get to somebody, it's going to be very difficult to get back there and not lose too many spots. It's hard to orchestrate finding somebody late in this race. We thought the 32 and the 7 working together earlier. That's because they found each other near each other. It's not very easy to just drop back 6 cars, get behind somebody, have a run, and go for it, which would obviously put this advantage in the hands of Rodney Wofford right now, in the hands of the 48 of Josh Ball. But Wofford does have that teammate element of Donnie Giratano. Problem is that on the bottom of the racetrack, Rachel, everybody likes to drop to the bottom on these restarts. That's going to drop a lot of people back in line. That's going to put them further and further away, not position-wise, but as far as distance that he needs to make up to get to the 48. They might have to try to go to the outside and do it. It all depends on what we see happen up front. Brandon Chaburko is going to be your race leader. Jason Altman's going to go to the outside. Altman's has been their control car the last 2 times, but hasn't made it first, according to number 1.
Yeah, exactly, and it's going to be a really interesting finale to this one. That 3 car's going to probably do everything you can think of to try and win this race, and that could potentially end the race. So I think 51 of Ottman's is a great position right now. If he can get a good start here and clear that 3, this could be his to win. But at the same time, a caution at this point will end the race. So.
Are you calling for another 3 wreck, Rachel?
Yes, actually, I am. I think it's going to happen. Maybe not with him, but it might be a cascade effect. We'll see.
Well, the lights go off on top of the pace car. It's going to be 4 laps to go in this race, and Brandon Chaburko is going to be your race leader. Back from Star Mazda tested, as we call it, served the suspension, is racing in the lead after qualifying for the championship. Unable to fulfill those duties after dropping outside of the top 30 in the points. Here to try to get his Season 5 run kicked off on a positive note. Alongside him, the driver that was eliminated just 1 week ago, we have an onboard camera with him. That's going to be Jason Altmans. But the big story, Josh Ball in 6th. Rodney Wofford in 12th. All 3 of our chase guys have been involved in about the last 5 incidents in a row. Seth the Merchant is gone. That car finishes in 25th after wrecking out in back-to-back incidents. His championship hopes dashed. 2 drivers to decide it. Whether we wreck 1 lap in, whether we make it to the white flag, regardless of what happens, this is the final restart on the year.
Man,
it will be indeed, and this could be an amazing finale.
Man, oh man. I mean, if I'm Josh Ball right now, I'm just praying that Ray or Donnie does not push Rodney up there. And I would be trying to make deals with any person around me. If I were Josh right now, I would be talking to either that 36 or the 26 saying, hey, leave me a little lane open, let me go down. But we're coming to the green flag, Evan.
For the final time on the season, the pace car going to get down and out of the way. The field in the hands of the 3 car. Green flag flies. We're back underway. And how about paying the favor back on the outside? Jason Altman's better start. Can he get clear? No. The 3 going to lead us down to quarter number 1. Watch that 48 who's stuck up top.
He's left out the dry. 48 is left out to dry, and here comes Rodney Wofford as he's going to pull almost dead even with Josh Ball coming out of here. It's going to be a drag race going down the backstretch. You have only contact. That's going to be
the 7 Rodney Wofford gets in that incident. The 48 who was just about to lose the spot and subsequently lose the championship on the outside dives around it, and he will take it home as that 48 Chevrolet swerves on the outside of the racetrack. And It'll be last man standing, a race that went so green for so long. The cautions at the end, 5 of them in a row involved chase, guys. Rachel, this is exactly what we saw in the IROC race. Rod Flag getting it over the Mark Jorgensen Jr. machine by riding the inside after the 88 machine, or subsequently in that race, the 10 car dropped back on the outside with no help. We were about to see deja vu, exactly the same thing, but then trouble up in front of them after the 36 machine goes to the outside to try to push the 51, and Sean Turner was just not clear. He turned him around, and it was both of them trying to go either which way. The 7, though, just not in the right lane. And Josh Paul up against the outside of retaining wall, as long as he can pace for 2 additional laps, is going to be the champion.
Well, that was crazy, and the car that caused that will finish P2 in this one. And the 98 of Greg Hooks, someone who's been running at the back of a lot of the feature races, will come in P3. And Chiburko, the guy who said had several incidents tonight, is going to be our race winner.
Rachel, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we got big news. Rod Flag, league administrator, has just announced that the race is going to be under review. So again, 2 weeks in a row, the race is going to be under review after the flag.
However, is it going to change anything?
We saw the contact happen not for the top spot there late, so, you know, we'll see how it all ends. 2 flags to go, popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps remaining in this one. Chiburko, Turner, Hooks, Giratano, and then Josh Ball in 5th. The 7 Rodney Wofford is on pit road. He knows it's done. He's parked it. His night, for all intent and purposes, is over. Looks like it may be a P18 for the 7 Rodney Wofford. His Wicked Autosports teammate, the 32 of Seth the Merchant, going to be a P25 tonight. Both of those drivers had led laps, in this race. Josh Ball, who played it a little bit aggressive early, was a little bit calm late. He's got a beaten and battered low Chevy, guys, but it may just be enough.
I've got to say, though, guys, it's maybe under review, but it's not going to change a thing, because Seth the Merchant out clean and clear. The car of Josh Ball, and the car of course, your other contender, the 48 machine of Josh Ball. Not Josh Ball, so the 7 of Rodney Wofford. Josh Ball was ahead before the incident, was about to get past, and during and after the incident was also ahead. He's going to pick it up by default in terms of the championship, and in the review he will still get it, so review or not, he's your championship winner.
And not going to be a situation where we see them run 1-2 or 5-6 at a point where bonus points as far as leading laps, leading the most laps, would become a factor in all of that. So it does appear to be pretty cut and dry. We'll avoid queuing them up on the radio and letting them know again until the race results are made official, because there are incident points that can be handed out for drivers that caused incidents earlier in the race. However, I don't feel like the 48 machine has any risk of losing some points accumulated on this one for that, as he's run quite the clean race. White flag in the air, 2.5 miles to go on this 2015 Season 4 season with the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. Started in Daytona under the lights, will end in Daytona under the lights, and unfortunately it will end under the caution flag. But I mean, tonight had a great race the first 75 laps, so much green flag racing, green flag pit stops, and all the drama. And then it turned into a Daytona full moon under the lights race, and it got really interesting at the end. I still can't get over how our chase guys were all together, 1, 2, 3 at one point. They somehow all found a spot in an incident there, all of them at the end. It was an extremely interesting end of the race for sure. Somehow, some way, they all found a way through it, and at the end of the night, Josh Ball, right spot at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been a race of luck for Josh Ball. But certainly one that might leave a bad taste in people's mouths for next season.
Hey Evan, I will like to say this. I think I called the win.
I'll give you that one, okay.
Yeah, I called the win of the championship, so I'll take that going into next season broadcasting any day.
Well, the 48 machine rides in 5th position. The checkered flag is going to go provisionally into the hands of the ExxonMobil Chevrolet. Brandon Chiburko, out of quarter number 4, is going to win the finale in Florida, 400K. But the big news is that he'll go back-to-back. By the way, a $30 bonus as well. Coming out of quarter 4 with a P5 at the end of the night for Henrik Motorsports. It's going to be the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. Josh Ball comes home with the top 5, and he should be your Season 4 champion with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series in thrilling, controversial fashion. A wild night at Daytona. The 48 cars got some celebrating to do.
Absolutely. Incredible championship run for him, of course, and Josh Ball had a great night tonight. He's been the luckiest guy in the field, and, well, it's going to be good for him to bring this one home, and, well, I'm sure those Henrik Motorsports guys will be having a big celebration tonight, even though 2 of them were killed.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, the champagne's definitely gonna be flying here.
The 48 was almost killed too a couple of times. I mean, his car's not all that pretty either.
Yeah, right here. But other big news, how about the 3 coming back from a 2-month suspension to coming back here to win in only his 2nd race back? I mean, that's pretty big as well. I mean, Brandon Chubirko is definitely leaving a statement to going into Season 5 here.
Well, we said that Seth DeBurchin, in the absence of the 3, was the most aggressive driver. Chubirko made sure that it was clear that he was. He'll celebrate the Exxon Mobil Chevrolet goes to victory lane. Brandon Chubirko wins the finale in Florida 400, and most importantly, Josh Ball celebrates. He is a winner after being the dark horse, we called him, up until last week at Talladega. We almost counted him out with some of the big names up there like Frank Lucilia, defending series champions in this. The 48 wins. It was the only way he could advance. He did so, and then he almost gets the win tonight, comes on P5, but most importantly finishes the highest out of all of the guys that he raced against in a strange and exciting finish here at Daytona, I guess, is some of the words you can use to describe it. P5 is enough to lock up that title. We're going to step away from Daytona, and we will be back from the virtual Daytona International Speedway on LSRTV, waiting for the official word to come in, and we'll talk to the chase drivers and hopefully have some interesting conversation on what was an interesting night in Daytona Beach. We'll be right back with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
I'm Dan Garrison, software engineer at iRacing. Since the beginning of Papyrus and through iRacing, the track has been unchanging through a session. Whatever you have at the beginning is what you have for the duration of the session and the end. The track doesn't change. What we want to do is be able to have the track respond to what's going on, to have cars interact with the track, to have the track change in temperature, in the amount of rubber. We want marbles, and we want those to be generated by the cars, putting them where they should be and picking them up and rethrowing them off the race line. It's a physical-based model that we focus on first and foremost. The tire and the track interaction, what's really going on there. It would be easy to just quickly throw something together. Our standards are, it needs to make sense. What's really going on, even at the molecular level between the track and the tire. The way the track works, essentially, is we divide it up into small cells that your car interacts with. So if you're adding temperature to a certain part of the track, we can pretty accurately know exactly where that is. That gets transmitted to the server. So if I'm in a race, my data is going to the server with everybody else in the session. The server accumulates that and basically broadcasts a consistent track state to everyone. So everyone's got the same track that they're racing on. One of the big challenges was being able to implement this dynamic track with any number of clients connected and have it just work as you would expect. Have it be the same for everyone in the service who's in a session. So to kind of give a little bit of a preview of the state of things right now, I basically have run a number of laps at 5 flags with the effects exaggerated for demonstration purposes so that we can kind of immediately see what's going on with the track. Right here is basically the track at the beginning of the session. There is a little bit of rubber on there that's put programmatically. That's the starting state of this track, and it's fairly low rubber at this point. If we skip ahead to the end, I did about 30 laps, so at the very end you can kind of see all this darkened in right here. This is where I was running the car, so well, there you go. And again, this is exaggerated. A single car in 30 laps is not going to darken the track anywhere near this level. We also have the ability to see the temperature, similar to an IR camera. At the beginning of the session, it's a little bit warm down here. It's very cool up here. As we skip ahead, all of a sudden this part of the track has become very warm. This is where I was running the car. And we can also drag the little thumbnail and see the effect of time as the track cools off and returns back to its equilibrium state. Before we had fairly symmetrical tracks. Now, because the sun is shining at some angle, one side of the track might be particularly hot, and 180 degrees around the track is going to be significantly cooler because the sun isn't really pointing at that. So you're on a track where maybe you basically treated it as 2 equal halves. Now you need to adjust to that. With multiple cars over a long race, you're going to have to seek out where's the grip, where is it going, how is the track changing. It's going to require a much more intelligent approach to racing. You're going to have to be able to handle the track through the life of the race. So in addition to temperature and rubber, we're also spending a lot of time working with marbles, putting them on the track where they should be. Later in a race, you can expect there to be marbles offline, and so a pass might be a little more sketchy later in the race because you're going to have to go through part of the track that has accumulated some rubber. On the oval side, if you want to venture out into, say, the outside line and nobody's been there yet, you can expect to find marbles there. I expect that the track becoming dynamic means that during a race, temperature is going to go up significantly and the grip is going to respond negatively. You want to be anticipating that, seeking out cooler parts of the track.
We're back live at the virtual Daytona International Speedway as the race becomes official. Race control taking a look, ensuring that there were no penalty points to be assessed to Josh Ball. There aren't, and he will be your champion, as we'll speak to him in just a little bit. Welcome in, though, to the LSRTV post-race show. Still a lot of discussion going on after what was a very intriguing final set of 20 laps in this one. A whole lot to talk about. Let's hear it from the drivers, though. Caught up in the pit lane with the driver that comes home in third tonight, Jared Haggerty. You have caught up with the driver of the number 98 machine. That is Greg Hooks.
Yeah, I'm here with the number 98 Superflow Chevrolet of Greg Hooks in Cole Trickle-esque fashion. You come home with a third. Greg, how'd you get up there today?
Yeah, it was a long race, Jared. We had a pit strategy, me, Chad, and Chris early on, and I messed up and got caught speeding on the first stop. So after that, it was just trying to stay alive to get back up there. I got lucky and dodged a couple wrecks and got myself up at the top 5 for the finish.
Well, you obviously had to come through adversity. Going to those last final laps, were you really concerned about them wrecking, and what was your strategy as far as the caution laps? What did you have to do? Were you working with your teammates at all? Were you having them give you any information?
There at the end, we had already lost Chad, but we still had Chris hanging around behind us. And yeah, we were expecting the wrecks. We knew it was going to get pretty dicey there at the end. And we were just hoping that the luck that we had early in the race would carry on and we could get through it and find ourselves in a good spot to try to win. And we had that one wreck with Jorgensen and Chris on the outside. And I came up too much and ended up turning Chris. So I felt bad, but there wasn't much I could do. Jorgensen was turning back up on the track afterwards. So it was just a bad situation.
Well, despite the fact you come home with a P3 today, going into season 5, how does this P3 make you go into season 5? Is it going to encourage you to race more aggressively, or are you going to stay a little bit on the conservative end?
Well, we were hoping we could come back and get a win in this race. This is the last race I won last season, but hopefully we can just use this momentum. We're really good with the endurance races. We struggle with the heat format, so there's not going to be any other heat format this next season, really. So hopefully we can continue on our endurance races, how strong we've been running, and hopefully we can pick up a win early next season and get ourselves left into the chase so we don't have to worry about it.
Well, Greg, after a long season, is there any sponsors and shout-outs you want to give out before we let you go?
I want to thank Napa and Aaron's. I want to thank Jason Ullmans for making those 2 paint schemes that I ran. I want to thank Rockstar that we're going to have next season, and Chris for making those paint schemes. Chris for the Days of Thunder paint schemes that we ran tonight. I want to congratulate Josh Ball again. I want to congratulate Chubbs on his win again. I want to thank Rod, and I want to thank everybody at LSRTV.
Well, we thank you for coming out here every week and putting on a good show for us. That is your P3, Greg Hooks, in cultrical-ass fashion. And Rachel, I believe you caught up with the Rust Bucket Machine, the number 36 of Sean Turner.
Yes, sir. I have indeed. I'm here with Sean Turner at the trackside. Sean, exciting finish the race for you, and well, P2, bit of a lucky escape there with what ended up being contact with one of the cars running at the front, and that final wreck occurred. Coming home with P2, that you escaped that one unscathed. Lucky or plan?
Very lucky. I didn't mean to get into the 51. I was going to go 3 wide, and I clipped his rear quarter panel, and then he took the 28 out. I apologize to both of the drivers. I don't want to finish like that. But hey, I drove through it and came to second. So 4th to 2nd, I guess that's pretty good. But still, it's unfortunate. The draft model is real hard. You got to be very aggressive out here on the track. But yeah, I just got lucky.
Very lucky indeed. And well, a great finish in that Rust Bucket Toyota for you today. And hopefully looking forward to next season.
Yes, I'm really looking for next season to come out and do a little bit more. I'd like to win one. I'm up here. This is the 2nd time I finished 2nd, but the competition's so hard, and it's all track position. It's if you're starting the back, you're going to stay in the back. But next season, I'm looking for my whole team of Revved Up Racing to do a lot better. So tonight, I think we had 4 of the cars finish in the top 12, so that's really good.
Any sponsors you'd like to thank for your team?
Just Revved Up Racing, Rod Flag for putting this on, LSRTV for you guys doing everything what you guys do. Yeah, it's really don't have no sponsor. Rust-Oleum, I guess, would be my sponsor. I'd like to thank them for the great base paint on my car.
Well, excellent. And that was, of course, Sean Turner coming home in P2.
And down in the permanent Gatorade victory lane here at the virtual Daytona International Speedway as they set up the championship one on the front straightaway. Starting this race in P5 and finishing this race at the top of the pile. Been a while since we got to talk to him. Brandon Chaburko back at iSuperSpeedway victory lane. Brandon, we've said a couple of times while you were gone that in the absence of the 3 set, the Merchant has kind of had to pick up the slack and be the aggressive driver. The 3 showed tonight that you were not about to roll over and let anybody get around you, and you put that Exxon Chevy in victory lane. How'd you do it?
Really, I mean, with this aero package, what I found is it's all about track position, and as long as you're able to maintain, like, top 10 throughout the whole race, you have a decent shot. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the package, because I feel like as a driver, you're not able to do too much coming from the back to the front, but luckily track position was on our side tonight, and we were able to get it done.
Having that win earlier on in the year and then not being able to be a part of this championship, to come back, get into one of the hardest races of the year where everybody is going as hard as they can to close off this year, win the finale in Florida 400. You know, you guys don't have, you know, a lot of the time we'll talk about how you'll try to milk that last win of the season throughout the offseason. that's 6 days, because next Friday the truck tour gets going, and then as well Daytona Speed Weeks for the Season 5 Championship get underway. So with just having a 1 week turnover, does that allow you guys to carry momentum, or do you not believe in that? You approach race, every one at a time and feel like that you can fight your way through to get a win every single time?
I think momentum, it definitely helps for sure in my opinion. But with plate races, as you know, anything can happen.
Well, I'll tell you, this one was quite the exciting one into the final 20 laps. A lot going on in the championship behind you guys. Clear sailing, though, up front for the 3 machine. One of the cleaner cars on track when it was all said and done. Able to put that one in victory lane. Brandon, before we let you go, as always, putting that 3, the Chubb Hart machine, back in victory lane. Sponsors and shout-outs, all those good things, who made this kind of resurgence for you guys possible here towards the end of the year. Come back and walk away with a win.
I got to thank Exxon for coming on board for the last race of Season 4, and Chris Bassini for painting that up for me. It was very nice. Jason Oltmans, Frank Basilia, Shane McKeechin. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple right off the top of my head. But I'd also like to thank Seth for being salty after that, and me not deserving to be here. Luckily, we were able to land in victory lane tonight.
Brandon, we wish you the best of luck next year, putting on a show in that 3 car. Congratulations on the win tonight here at Daytona, and I guess we'll see you next season, but we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you, Evan.
Your winner tonight, piloting the number 3 Exxon Chevrolet, is Brandon Chaburko. Now we turn from the race results to the championship results tonight at Daytona. 3rd overall after the iSuper Chase comes home and it's all said and done, and finishing 3rd out of the Supreme 3 drivers tonight is Seth the Merchant's number 32 car. That driver comes home in 25th, and they have declined comment late here at Daytona. So their night obviously done not the way they would have liked, and they've retired her for the evening. So we'll pass things up pit road just one step to the driver that was so strong all year, and my pick coming into this final one, who comes home in 19th, and it's going to be, when it was all said and done, a 2nd in the championship for the driver that ties with his teammate Seth the Merchant for the most wins on the year. Jared Haggerty, you have caught up with our 2nd place overall finisher in the Season 4 Points Championship, Rodney Wofford.
Yeah, I've caught up here with Rodney Wofford, and Rodney, man, tough going there at the end. But y'all ran a great race. Tell me about the beginning of the race and what you had to do to stay up there.
Pretty much just rode in line, kept the car clean. Really didn't get racy. A little bit there, not really too much, but that was about it. Then after that, just wrecks after wrecks kept happening, and then that's what got us.
Well, we see you coming to that final restart. You've clearly got the inside line on Josh Ball. What are you thinking coming up to that backstretch as soon as you're like, oh, I got him. I know I got him. He's all mine. And then that wreck just happens. What are your thoughts on the wreck and essentially taking you out of the championship?
Too much wrecking. Need to hold it straight and not hook each other is what I think. Or I should have been a little bit more aggressive and dug through there. I got stacked up on one restart, and it cost me a lot of positions.
Despite you losing a lot of positions, you ran a great season, man. Tell us, are you looking forward to next season? And are you disappointed with this season on how you did?
Oh, no, not disappointed at all. Probably could have won 2 or 3 more races, I expect. Me, Seth, the whole team, we did great. It was I think we had the most wins out of all of it. We came up short, but, we had one hell of a team. We did an awesome job. It was a blast. And, we'll go back. We'll try and knock it out again, see what happens.
I'll tell you, despite Henrik taking home the championship, I'm pretty sure that Wicked Auto Sports took home the team championship. So it's always good to have, knowing that momentum is going in your favor. But Rodney, is there any sponsors and shout-outs we can give you before we let you go for the final time?
Oh yeah, that's a long list here. Everybody here. It's all you guys that run, all you guys, especially Rod. Got to thank him. Seth. He's been running with me since like the first race. Donnie, Jose. It's everyone's name here. You guys. I got to thank my family. Them. I got to thank my brother, all them. And Yeah, that's what does it right there.
Well, Rodney, we always appreciate you coming back week after week, providing us with some of the best racing out there. We thank you for coming out week to week, and we look forward to seeing you next year in season 5, or actually next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah. Thank you, and yeah, we'll get at it and we'll show some teeth.
That is the number 7, second place overall finisher, Rodney Wofford. And right now, Evan, I believe you're in a champagne shower right now as you're in that the championship victory lane with Josh Ball.
They pulled it out on the front straightaway, and it is now time to celebrate. After what was probably the craziest final set of 20 laps we have seen all season, the 48 was maybe about 7 seconds away from being passed on the inside. He dives it to the outside wall and survives this final endurance event on the Season 4 championship, and it was enough to become the champion. I'll pass things over to the iSuperSpeedway president, Rod Flagg, for the trophy presentation.
Thank you, Evan, and it's been a great season. I want to first of all thank all the iSuperSpeedway drivers for a great season 4. We are looking forward to our next season kicking off with the iSuperSpeedway Shootout next week, and again the iSuperSpeedweeks event, which will include the iSuper Duels and the iSuperSpeedway 500 here in the next couple of weeks. Josh Ball, congratulations on being our 4th iSuperSpeedway champion. It's been a very hard-fought season, including our first season with the iSuper Chase in its current format. With the rounds, it has obviously been a hard-fought battle, and it's obviously just a been an awesome end to the season here to be in the finale in Florida 400 and crowning you the champion. And so on behalf of the drivers of iSuperSpeedway, on behalf of the board of directors and everybody involved in iSuperSpeedway, I want to congratulate you again on your championship, and I officially crown you beyond the Supreme 3. You are now the iSuperSpeedway champion of season 4. Congratulations.
Woo! I just can't believe it. I mean, I wrecked my car basically to win the championship there at the end. I mean, Evan said it like it did. I saw that wreck happening, and basically I was like, unless I hugged the wall, I could get caught up in this, and I thought that was my best way to avoid it. So I just can't thank everybody enough. Hanner Motorsports, Josh Hanner, Mark Jorgensen, Tanner Mann, fortunately wasn't here tonight. Kyle Gary, also Rodney Wofford and Seth the Merchant for racing tonight. I want to congrats Brandon. I don't know, Evan. I have no idea what to say, basically.
Well, I'll tell you, I did drive by a Lowe's today, although I did stick with my pick as far as statistically speaking, for the 7 Rodney Wofford. I did go by a Lowe's, and you guys pick it up at the end of the year. When it's all said and done, you're going to end with 2 wins on the year, but essentially, call this back-to-back wins. It doesn't matter if it was a 5th. It wouldn't have mattered if it was a 16th place finish tonight, because you guys came what everybody wanted. Chaburka was going to be able to walk away with one of the nicer trophies on the year from this endurance event, but you got the one that mattered the most for this 48 team, who was relatively quiet, I guess, in comparison to your teammates. The 24, the 88, very, aggressive drivers that are up there all the time, and they're diving to the inside, diving to the outside. The louder guys to be able to I guess one-up them as a friendly competition within the team. Not only that, but then to know when the cards are on the table that you turn that 48 up a notch. You got the win. A P2 was not enough to get you here last week. The win got you here, and then you executed. It's got to feel pretty damn good.
Oh, man, I tell you what, it feels amazing. Last week, my heart was bumping out of my chest coming out of 4 when Rodney pushed me to the win. And literally for the last 15 laps here, actually 20-something, I felt the same way. Right after the wreck that Rodney got in, I had some damage, rear end damage, and Kyle Gary rear ended me. Obviously, he said he was sorry, and I really didn't think it was his fault at all. But it was the biggest decision: do I pit, get further back, or do I stay up here and try to keep my position because I knew Rodney would be in the back. Well, I did pit and I got my car cleaned and still had my reset. And I think that was the best strategy. Either way, how it happened. And I had talked about me wanting to be on the inside all night, but I guess I'm glad I wasn't on the last restart because it's pretty much everybody on the bottom.
Fate can tend to be a thing at times like that.
Oh yeah, it was. I was going back and forth with my teammates asking, what do you think I should do? I had in my head, I thought I should stay out. But they convinced me, to go ahead in and pit. So I did, and this is what paid off. We got us a championship.
To look at this season, and Brandon Chirurko is going to be the only driver in this entire chase that's not a chase driver to win a race. But into tonight, it was you, Seth, and Rodney who were representing the 4 chase race wins into tonight. And for a lot of it, it looked like it was going to have to take another win to win this championship. Like we saw last week when you were running around with Frank and Jason and all that. Inside the top 5, every single chase guy together. There was a point tonight where it was you 3, 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack, and the next thing you don't know where each other are. A couple of bad pit stops, you find each other together, chasing down the leaders. Then there's a wreck with Seth, and the last 5 cautions in one way or another, included you chase guys. But I guess that's kind of a good metaphor to take a look at this entire season because plate track racing is so unpredictable. That was the most unpredictable 20 laps I've ever seen. Not only to get a championship against the the level of competitive drivers, I guess, that you see in this series, but to be able to do it when there's so much that can go wrong, I guess, as well, makes it a lot sweeter.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like you said, the last 20 laps were crazy, and I was just trying to avoid everything. At one point, I went back and looked when Mark and Josh Hanna wrecked. If Rod Flag didn't barely touch Mark when he was coming back up the track, I would have been done because Mark was coming right for my door. I just hugged the wall hoping that he wouldn't get me. He got me a little rear end damage, but it wasn't going to hinder me. So, I got to go back and think. We started this season back on March 20th, and it definitely was interesting going back. It's almost 5 months from now, just shy of 5 months, and that's a long time. We've been racing every Friday pretty much since then, and to be able to walk away and come out with 2 wins this year and the I-5 bonus and have my teammates, be there each week for me and help me out, and even the small stuff, just the small talk, it's good, and I can't thank them enough. So.
Well, we've been racing since March, and we'll be racing in 7 days because the Season 5 championship, there's no time to kind of soak in it. You got to wait. Your trophy might not even get to you by the time you got to go points race it again. We look forward now. This was the first season that they implemented the elimination rounds in the iSuper Chase. Last season we had the Chase, there were no cuts. This next season, big changes as well. The schedule format changing up a little bit. We're also going to be running back-to-back with a truck series. There's going to be a lot more on your guys' plate. There was an interesting thing coming into this season. In the first 3 years of this series, it was the runner-up from the previous year who would go on to win the title. Once we saw the 98 machine get eliminated in round 1, Greg Cook's unable to do so. That was broken. So you want to start a new one and go back-to-back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope I do. It's just going to really depend on how well we can work together. Like I was telling you, I can't thank my team enough. I'm throughout the whole season, we had a great team. We worked together every week. We got everybody wins that we could. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Tanner in, and then Kyle joined us later in the year. And we worked as a good team. We talked during the week, figured out what we're going to do. Most of these endurance races, which there's a lot of next season, like you were talking about, our usual plan was to ride in the back. Well, this week we talked about it, and I just figured I had to start in the front. I mean, stay up front because it was, I didn't think Rodney or Seth were going to ride in the back. They've been winning. I was winning, but they're just not going to do that. So it was definitely a crazy week, crazy time. I had a lot of fun tonight, and I hope I'll be able to go back to back, and then maybe take this low Chevy and go for a drive for 5. And we got 1 now, so just need to win the next 5, and we'll catch up to the real Jimmy Johnson.
You got to start somewhere for sure, and By the way, for backing up last week's win with a top 5 tonight also, you are going to still be eligible for the I-5 bonus going forward. So, it wouldn't hurt to get some cash going forward as well. Josh, I know you've been thinking of teammates, thinking everybody. We'll give you one more opportunity, the sponsors and shout-outs. Everybody from race 1 through race 18, who you want to give a call to.
Well, we'll thank teammates again. Mark Jorgensen, Josh Hanner, Tanner Mann, Kyle Gary, also Rod Flagg for putting on this great league, also being half teammate, I guess. He's coming over to the Hanner side for the truck series next year. Also Rodney Wofford, Seth the Merchant, and Donnie Garitano for being there and running with us this year. I'd like to thank Lowe's. My sponsorship all year never changed. It always was Lowe's. I want to thank you, LSRTV, putting on a great performance. I'm going to go and watch this for sure tomorrow morning at work. Just don't tell anybody. And once again, thank you, Evan, for driving past Lowe's today.
I was looking out for you there. I'll tell you, when you watch this one back, there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on. It was a crazy race. You just about got taken out when the 88 spun. He hit your left rear. By fate, that car stayed in the right direction. Same spot a couple of laps later. You find a way through. But it was the drive last week, the drive all year to get you in that situation that earned you this championship. Josh, a huge congratulations on this. Enjoy that championship. We'll see you as you go on the defensive in just 1 week. Best of luck next week. I'm sure we'll talk to you as we get Season 5 going underway. But congratulations on being the Season 4 champion.
Thanks again. Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Jared.
That is your Season 4 iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series champion, Josh Ball. And, Jared, a wicked race when it was all said and done. A wild one, an exciting one, a controversial one, a thrilling one. Whatever words you want to throw at it, it can probably accurately describe something we saw tonight.
That was a great race, man. I mean, it had everything. The drama. It had the kind of steady first part of the race, that first 70, 75 laps, really calm. Everybody's staying in their lane, mind their P's and Q's. But then that last part, just the total carnage and the drama that went on, it just made it a great race. And I cannot wait to call Season 5 next week.
We have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Not only, again, you guys saw IROC tonight as part of a special doubleheader, but it'll be doubleheader Friday nights from here on out as the Ron Car Truck Tour going to be coming into action. Before we step away, do want to get a word in again with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series President Rod Flagg, who comes home in a solid finishing position, 17th position. But Rod, I know really you guys ultimately were gunning for that championship, unable to fight for it this season. You're able to go right back at it though next year into Season 5, but I mean, you look at this season, 17 races strong, and then we see probably the craziest 20 laps out of anything at the end of this one. From a league owner standpoint, it's good when people talk. Everybody has different opinions. The chat's been very active. We've had different opinions, which is good because you want things to be interesting. How was the race from your perspective? Although it didn't end the way you would have liked, it was definitely a thrilling one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the race had everything you want. I think it had some long green flag runs in the beginning of the race, and then it obviously, when things were coming on the line and it got to the nitty gritty there, we saw some caution and saw some aggressive behavior out there and saw some moves that maybe shouldn't have been made. But that's just racing, and that's guys going for the win, and guys really want to get that trophy. So we had a tremendous chase field this season. Can't say enough just about the Supreme Three and having Seth, Rodney, Josh, and I had an opportunity to speak with them prior to the running of the finale in Florida 400, and set kind of the ground rules and let them know what was going on, and certainly they raced their heart out. There's lots of things that happened in that race, and again all you have to do is just kind of look at what occurred. There's lots of drama, and I think that's kind of what the chase brings to you. So certainly was a great way to end the season, and as we've done in the past, we get right back into it, and can't wait for season 5. But to kind of talk about at least my night, anyways, it certainly was. We got our way up to the top 10, and then just got a roof full of a couple of wrecked race cars who decided that they wanted to make ground on our car, apparently.
Not the result you guys would have wanted to end on a positive note, but you get her finished, and as you said, you guys go right forward. Talking about some of the strategy as we did lead it into tonight's race in our in our pre-race show, talking about some of the different strategies, some of the different team things you might see tonight with these longer races. Definitely a very different beast than what you see in the feature races with the qualifying heats, the dash for cash, the B main, and the A main as well. We're going to see a lot more of these endurance events on that season 5 schedule.
Yes, we are. It's actually going to be the majority of our schedule. So I believe it's we have 9 endurance races next season, and first one is the our biggest race of the season is going to be the iSuperSpeedway 500, and we have a very similar qualifying format, I suppose, to what they do in NASCAR, and we run a dual races, and for your starting position, and then we run our again our 500 kilometer event, which is we're extremely proud of. So we'll then go off and run the other races there that probably everybody's familiar with, as far as we got the Star Fill Alabama 250, the Draft Hard 300, the then again we'll come back here here in a couple of months and run the finale again, but also have some great additions as far as a couple of sponsored events now with one of our partners there who runs a great league on Monday nights, by the way. The Revved Up folks, those drivers, they have run a great Xfinity league on Mondays, and they're going to be running a Revved Up 300 there at Daytona. We're going to have a race at Daytona 2007, which we're titling the Throwback 300. I think we got Kyle Gary sponsoring the KidSportsSigns.com 225 Daytona, and then Jason Altman's is doing a Altman's Designs 351. So lots of fun events, but again, we're not totally going away from what everybody's been used to as far as our feature format. I think the one thing that's going to be different is we won't be doing heat races, but we will have still half our races be the B main, A main format, some of those shorter shootout sprint races, and so I think that's going to make for a lot of fun. Plus, again, our truck tour that's going to be coming in starting next week, which you're going to see the greatest super speedway drivers in the world taking their shot at these great other tracks other than the super speedways.
And that one going to be 50 laps right here at Daytona for the kickoff 125 next Friday on LSRTV. Rod, the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series, obviously a lot of information at iSuperSpeedway.com. I know you're going to be busy keeping that beautiful website updated. A lot of things to update as we roll into season 5 and then the inaugural season for the Rod Car Truck Series. Anything as far as recruitment races for anybody tuning in that want to get a part of this?
Yeah, we're going to be out doing some recruitment races tomorrow. We'll have our, I think there's a recruitment race. It'll be at Talladega tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you are interested in becoming an iSuperSpeedway driver, definitely encourage you to come out and come race with some of our drivers. And we'll also have one more, I believe, on Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern Time, and so that should be fun, and we should be making our announcements on our rookie class, which will probably be anywhere from the range of 10 to 15 drivers. We've had a great initial interest in drivers wanting to come into the league, and I think we're going to be doing it, bringing in some really good talented drivers to challenge for some great race wins. So always just kind of looking up here. Season 5 is going to be the best yet. Again, continuing the chase format, and but I just have to thank LSRTV for the partnership, Evan, Laura, everybody for what they have done in this season. It's just been an amazing couple of months, and the great thing about it is we get to do it all over again.
We talked to all the drivers. We talked to our top 3 tonight. We talked to the top 2 in the championship. And, when we let them thank their sponsors and give their shout-outs, it's always a big thanks to you and your administration team for bringing this series on. We'll give you one more opportunity. Who helps you and, who makes this possible and who allows you to allow this series to be what it is, to continue to grow now into season 5? Who do you want to thank?
Well, it's always the drivers of iSuperSpeedway are what make this series run. I put a lot of funding into this, and I put a lot of effort into keeping things looking good and keeping things professional, keeping obviously a good broadcast partner with LSRTV, and making sure that we have all the resources that we need to continue to be successful. But the drivers are what make this thing continue to run. If there was no interest, then we wouldn't be doing this. So just again, appreciate everything they do, showing up every week and wanting to continue to do this. So again, thank you to LSRTV for everything. And again, you guys are the best broadcast partner out there. But I just want to again say congratulations to Josh Ball on his championship, joining a elite crew of champions, and nice to be able to bring him into the fold. Brandon and Frank and myself will be happy to enshrine him with the championship here pretty shortly. And yes, he will have that championship within a week.
Well, there you go. A 17th tonight, not indicative, though, and you'll go on your title attack in 1 week to get that season unofficially kicked off, but the Truck Series going to get officially underway, try to become the inaugural champion in that run. You won the IROC Championship earlier tonight, so you're the first driver to win that, and as well the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series title.
Woo.
I'm sure you'd like to be the first one to add all 3 to that list as the Truck Tour gets going next week. Thanks for taking a moment to stink by and talk with us. It's been a long evening, a special doubleheader Friday championship night here on LSRTV. We thank you for allowing us to be a part of it, and we will see you next week right back here. So, Jared, we look forward now. Very hard to close the books on what was a very exciting race end when the book opens once again next week. Not only does the Season 5 Championship unofficially get underway as we head for Daytona Speed Weeks before we actually get points racing, but the Rod Car Truck Tour makes its debut right here on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I won't be up here in the booth for that. I actually got to get my feet wet into the truck tour, so unfortunately you won't have my presence up here in the booth during that, but I'll surely be back up here in the booth for the start of Season 5 for the regular Super Speedway. But I'm really looking forward to the trucks. I mean, this is a different style. I'm used to running with all these guys on a normal basis on the Super Speedway, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they run on the speedways and some of the short tracks and stuff.
We appreciate everybody for sticking around with us, going on now in over 4 hours. It was an exciting race. We had IROC and we had the finale in Florida 400. Get used to some long Friday nights at the sim racing track because we have so much to come with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series and the Rod Car Truck Tour, as well IROC, and so much more. LSRTV is the place for all of that. If you want to check out more on this series, you heard about the recruitment races, you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/iSuperSpeedway. All the information going to be there. All the information going to be on our Facebook as well at facebook.com/LiveSimRacingTV. Check everybody out online. Go to iSuperSpeedway.com. Check us out online at LiveSimRacing.com. And we are excited to be a part of Season 5 and Season 1 of the Truck Series next week. Until then, though, as we send it off into a 6-day and 20-hour off-season until next Friday night, and on behalf of everybody who was a part of the broadcast for this Season 4 championship, do want to thank the team tonight on behalf of myself, Evan Pasoko, for Rachel Whiteford, Jared Haggerty, and as always, our executive producer, Laura Lawson. We thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulations to Brandon Chaburko for winning tonight, and a huge congratulations to the driver of the 48 machine. Josh Ball is your 2015 Season 4 champion for the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series. Until then, we'll see you next Friday night under the lights at Daytona. Trucks, Cup cars, it's going to be the kickoff 125 and the shootout. You're not going to want to miss it, and there's only one place to view it. It's LSRTV.